evening, everybody. Welcome back to PSGL. George Morgan here, your commentator, alongside me, TK, who is going to be rounding off the season with me. Down the inside, absolutely possible scene. This is for the win between these two.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
He needs to get it done now.
Blakely will dive to the inside.
We'll go bust. We got our elbows out.
Ronnar takes the lead.
Because here comes Alfie Butcher.
Can't really complain with that one.
It's not going to be easy. The pressure is on, of course.
Jarno Watmere is your champion.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to PSGL here for round number 10 of Season 6 of PSGL E-Series, where tonight would certainly be the night where Ferrari do take that championship, their 4th championship in the past 5 seasons. Of course, they do have a 120-point lead, 9 points over Red Bull. Tonight would secure them that championship. So I wouldn't say there's lots on the line for them, because they're most likely going to win it next week if they don't win it this week. But certainly, Corey, they'll be trying to get it done as quick as possible.
Absolutely. They've got quite a big gap of breathing space, which gives them a full race in hand, if you want to think of it in terms of points. They could afford to not score any points and still be 60 points almost leading over Red Bull Sim Racing. So Red Bull need to throw out the big guns tonight to stay mathematically in challenge to try and stop Ferrari. Other than that, Ferraris have got this one in the bag here tonight.
Certainly, and we'll have a quick look at the standings after the first 9 rounds of the season. So, it is Ferrari, unsurprisingly, that lead the way by 120 points to Red Bull in second place. Then another 9 points back is R8G in third, ahead of Williams Sim Racing in fourth. And FVR, brilliant season, I say that every round, currently topping off that top 5 on 227 points, with Alpine 10 points behind in P6. 7th goes to our last season's champions, Veloci Academy. Certainly a disappointing season for them, ahead of McLaren yet again, disappointing in 8th on 149. They're 20 points ahead our future racing team FRT in P9, and then of course rounding off the whole of the grid it will be Venturi Esports on 121 in P10. And I've got to say, not the most surprising to see FRT and Venturi so far down, but I've got to say, Corey, I'm actually surprised they're not that far off the likes of McLaren and Veloci. I thought there would be quite a big gap between the top 8 and then those two at the bottom, but no, the gaps are actually quite close.
It's like McLaren have had some unfortunate races and have just not been able to score some crucial points to see themselves contending in this championship. Well, you see R8G also scoring some pretty good points to get close enough to the Red Bull team. There is only 9 points separating them as well. So R8G, if they get close enough, they could potentially be within contention of, at least jumping ahead of the Red Bulls at the end of this championship. Although you can see the race results now on your screen from last time out, and John Evans took a much needed victory, which again has helped the Ferrari boys along in the championship goals. And Tomascal lines up second with Keane Gordon up for the Red Bulls, only managing to get third in that one. We've sort of seen the Ferraris and Red Bulls lock out that 1-2 in previous race results, but it's not been looking so good in the past couple of rounds, as the Red Bulls have tried. They've tried very much to challenge the Ferraris, but it seems that the lineup Ferrari are bringing are just ever stronger track after track. Stachulek lining up in fourth for the Alpines, though. Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, it's looking good for Ferrari tonight because they got Riccardo Benzoni, who, of course, was P2 last time out in Baku, last season, actually, in Season 5. That was when he driven for Veloci Academy. So, of course, being alongside Ismail Fassi, this could be a really good night for them to definitely take those points that they need over Red Bull. Of course, Red Bull themselves have Keane Gerdendorp and Ulash Zildrim in the car, the same lineup they've had pretty much every round this season. And then we have R8G with Julian Klaffenbach, and we have Daniele Parodi making his return. Hasn't been here for a couple of rounds. Then Alpine, we have Andrei Molnar and Piotr Stachulek. Veloci Academy, it's Tudor Pressakan and Luca Rapassa. Williams, Ika Bayana and Ruben Progenio. Then we have Venturi with Victor Videla and Ryan Modler. McLaren, it's Szymon Lekomski and Leo Lund. And then we have Keedan Lutz and Declan Barrett taking to the seat for FVR. And then in FRT, we have Gabor Chontos and Takubi.
Honourable mention to do with FBR. They're quite high up in the standings, so where are they sitting now? 5th in the overall constructors, so they've been doing fairly well for a community team in this season 6 thus far, and hopefully they can end it on a high note. We do have some intermediate runners out on the track, as you like to suspect. People do those installation laps, as I like to call them, just to check that all the wheels are working, all the buttons are nice and keep mapped in, no issues that can cost them any much needed qualifying laps later on in this session. So drivers come out, get those laps done, do a bit of a technical check, and then back in they go and just wait down that clock. As you see week after week in qualifying 1, they'd rather save the tyres as much as possible and just wait it out.
Indeed, and unfortunately, we haven't got the sponsor boards on. I did put them on earlier on, but obviously, silly me, forgot to check if they actually worked, and unfortunately they're not on. So we're going to have to, during the end of qualifying the race, throw them on, and hopefully they'll work again. But yeah, that was weird. I think it was my own fault for verifying the integrity of the files before putting them on, because I did a WOR stream last week, and I did have the E-Series, no, it was FORS, and I did have the E-Series banners on, so I think, yeah, verifying it has messed it up a bit. So I'll try again once we go between quali and race, but hopefully we can have it sorted for later this evening. But we have got cars heading onto track here around Baku, of course. This will be an interesting evening. I think quali will probably be more entertaining than the race, but we never know, I suppose.
Something a little strange going on with my game is I'm getting told false information on the tyre graphic. Apparently, according to the leaderboard, Ulash's Ildren was on the soft. So I was going to say, quick, have a look at the Red Bull. He's doing a soft tyre run, but he's not. Turns out he's actually on intermediate. So a little false information while I was looking at the little tyre graphic on the left-hand side. But he's dived back into the pits anyway, so installation lap has been done for that Red Bull. Anybody else who's choose to say it, Ryan Modler's actually going to set a lap, as you see on board with him at the moment. Comes out of Sector 2, just finishes that off now and comes to the flat to the floor, and away you go, Sector 3. You just pedal to the metal all the way through.
Indeed, and of course, on the Inters, it might have looked a little bit touch and go there for Ryan. I think there was a moment where he nearly did hit the barrier, but of course, when you have the soft tyres with lots and lots of grip, there's no worry at all to head through there flat out, as Ryan does set the first lap of the session. It will be a 1:42.844 on the board, of course. Nothing representative whatsoever here at the start of this first qualifying session, and then in around 3 minutes time we will see all the cars go out onto track to get underway for their first laps themselves, as we do see Ruben Petronio down in 18th, has retired already. I believe there is a qualifying ban for the Williams car, hence why he is going to be starting from the back here this evening, which means, Corey, we only lose 4 cars in Q1, so for the likes of FRT and also for I'll get my words out, I'm forgetting the team. Venturi, that's bad, I should know, shouldn't I? They certainly have a little bit more of a chance to try and squeeze into Q2 and possibly even Q3 if they have the pace.
Yes, certainly. I mean, I wouldn't say never here in Baku. There's plenty of places where you can make a mistake, and those barriers come at you very, very quickly. This very tight technical track in at least Sector 2 to say that. Coming up into casual section, are you going to do a Leclerc, Mr. I am stupid, or are you going to keep it nice and tucked close to the wall, but don't even graze it? You just want to try and treat the car nice here in Baku, because I've got a feeling it's going to be a long race for these drivers. It's going to be difficult to find those opportunities. So qualifying is going to be even more crucial for these guys.
It certainly will do, as Ryan will now be heading back into the pits, and then just after that we should hopefully see a couple of cars heading out onto track, and then of course we will actually get underway for this evening's action. Of course, if you're not entirely sure how the whole qualifying system works here in Formula 1 or here for E-Series, the bottom 5, so 16th to 20th, will be eliminated after this session. Then we head into the second qualifying session where the bottom 5 once again get eliminated, which is 11th to 15th. And then, of course, Q3 is going to be the top 10, all fighting for that pole position heading into the race around Baku. I think it's 26 laps, if I'm correct, around this circuit.
Indeed.
And as we went on board with Ryan there, Corey, one thing to notice tonight, that pit lane entry, the speed you carry through there and that you have to carry through there is insane. Surely we're going to see one person mess up there tonight.
I have a feeling you might be right on that one. If you just caught it with Ryan Modler, it's sort of a chicane. So you can come in on a straight angle, but then you have a barrier to your left-hand side ready to attack you at a moment's notice. So you have to try and flick the car back to the right and then slam those brakes on to hit that limiter line and not get that ever race crushing 10-second speeding in the pit lane penalty, as we've seen before in previous races. It's absolutely devastating on your race.
Yeah, it certainly is, and I'm hoping nobody does end up bidding it there tonight, but I'm sure someone will make a mistake. But we do have a couple of cars now making their way out of the pit lane, the first being the two R8Gs of Julian Klaffenbach and Daniele Parodi making their way onto track. And another fun fact was back in Season 5, when we was here last time out, it was Julian Klaffenbach who won the race for R8G, then finishing ahead of Riccardo Benzoni and Lenny Pipinta back when he raced in Race Clutch, and then back in Season 3 a long time ago. Of course, it was back when we had an FZR here in PSGL E-Series. They took pole under P3 with Louis Valentin, and then it was Ismail Fassi for Williams who took the win ahead of Janica Clay when he raced, had his short time at SRC. So, mad fact there, Corey, only twice have we ever seen an actual esports team finish on the podium here, and that would be Julian and Ishmael.
Well, out of all the times it may have been run, so I've only been here for this one season, but I'll have to look back and see the E-Series history on the YouTube channel to get my knowledge up for the next race, to pull up some history like you've just done there and see who is going to be topping the tables. Can Julian Klaffenbach take a second win in E-Series in Baku? That's what we'd like to do here tonight for R8Gs. He's one of the first drivers to take us away with his teammate on a soft tyre time. Daniele Parodi will take us away though with the first initial banker lap. That being Ryan Modler's intermediates immediately will be decimated as these soft tyres start to come to life.
Indeed, and of course, I'd imagine around here the tyre wear is actually quite high. So I'd imagine that, you know, you kind of get one or maybe two laps at push before these soft tyres do die and you don't get the optimum out of them. So you've kind of only got one lap really to get something good on the board here with your set of tyres, as we do follow Daniele Parodi down towards turn number 1. Of course, harsh onto the brakes through there. Of course, hopping the curb on the entry and exit, as you then head into turn number 2, once again late on the brakes, and you've got to be careful not to touch the wall, but all I'm going to say is it doesn't harm you if you do around this circuit. Yes, wall riding seems to be quite popular around Baku, but I'm sure if you get an advantage from it, there are penalties that can be applied. As Daniele now in towards turn 3 and does tap the wall on the exit in towards turn 4. At the right hand at, hops the curb as you make your way through, and then down towards turn number 5, late on the brakes and get the car turned in. Don't hit that inside barrier. We see that happen quite a lot in Formula 1, and that was a big slide on the exit of turn 6. That certainly cost him some time down to turn 7. Of course, yet again, you've got to be careful to not run it too wide, and then into the castle, which every time I have to sit back in my seat because I feel like the car's not going to fit through that gap.
Two beautiful perspectives on that castle, though. You're watching it from on the stream from a first-person
Hang on,
perspective.
someone's crashed. Takubi's
Someone's
crashed
out already.
Oh my, he's crashed on his outlap. Thanks, Jonah Martins. He kindly said in the chat, but yes, Takubi's out.
Wow. That's mental. How has he crashed on his outlap already? Just maybe pushing those tyres a little bit too hard, trying to get the temperature in them. And yeah, we'll be now feeling a little bit more calmer for FVR and Veloci and the likes of FRT, although one driver out could see the other driver up into qualifying 2, like you mentioned earlier. It was a Williams not joining the rest of the field, and now it's an FRT driver. So only 3 drivers are going to get dropped as Daniele Parodi goes up with a 37.8 and Julian Klaffenbach with a 38.6. So a huge time difference there between the two teammates. I wonder if Klaffenbach's had a bit of a moment.
Must have been, as we do see Luca Rapassa go to the top of the timings with a 37.3, half a second clear of Daniele Parodi, and Judah Pressacan there jumping up into P number 3 as Ryan Modler goes second for VNT. Riccardo Benzoni goes quickest. What about Ismail Fassi for Ferrari? He goes even quicker. A 137.310 for him as Declan Barrett has made a mistake on his lap. Then we have the 2 McLarens and one of the Alpines. What will it be for Szymon Lekomski? P8 to 38.1. P8 then for Piotr Sakalek and Leo Lundweg. Can he go up to P7 at 37.895? We still have a couple more times to come through. And crucially, to keep an eye on both of the Red Bulls here as Gabor Chontos goes P4.
Yeah, I've got my eyes on Kean Gordon powering down the main straight now to hit that checkered flag and set the lap time. What can we see the Red Bull do? Just up to P4, falling short, but fastest of the 37.5 runners until you see that gap in pace from Luca Rapasso where you've got 37.3s for the front three. There goes Ulas Zildrim, now faster than his team, but still only good enough for a 37.5 as well.
Indeed, and I'm now on board here with Declan Barros. I'm not sure if he's on a lap now or if he's going to be heading back into the pit lane. But on the last lap, which was a fast run, he unfortunately did find an invalidation. So certainly a lot of pressure here on Declan, considering at the moment we've got 2 cars out. So it means only 2 cars can go out of this session as well, joining them. So that is not good for Declan. If he can't get a lap on the board, he's certainly going to be under a lot of pressure here for the remainder of this session. Of course, Ikebayana yet to set a lap as well, and the same for Julian Klaffenbach. Well, he has set one, but certainly not representative for the R8G driver as he makes his way back into the pit lane, and so does everybody else. And while we've got a little bit of time before we can actually get underway with our final laps of Q1, let's have a chat with Ruben Pedreño as he takes us around the Baku City Circuit.
Ruben Pedreño here, Atlassian Williamson Racing Driver, and we are heading to the Baku Street Circuit. So we are here in Sector 1, going into Turn 2, a 90-degree corner where you really focus on getting as close as possible to the wall on the right on the exit, and with really good exit speed for this straight that comes up. Then arriving to Turn 3, another 90-degree corner, getting close to the wall on the right. Same for Turn 4. To finish Sector 1. Then here start Sector 2 with a really slow section where, as you can see, you want to carry a lot of exit speed. And then arriving to the most famous part of the track, the castle section, where you really want to get as close as possible to every wall to extract every millisecond possible. And in this exit, being really careful on getting as nice as power as possible because of this straight coming up. Then we are heading to the last corner of Sector 2. Really tricky, getting as close as possible to the wall on the right and finishing Sector 2. Here is the last corner. Really important to get a really good exit because the longest straight of the whole calendar is coming up. These 2 corners flat out, obviously with these modern F1 cars. And just using the whole battery, opening the DRS just now, asking the car for the most horsepower as possible, and finishing the lap around Baku.
And we are back, of course. A big thank you to Sim Racing Centre for being our sponsors for Season 6 of this championship. Of course, as I say every single week, and I'll continue to, without SRC, we would physically not be here. Of course, they did donate 3/4 of the prize pool for us this season. Of course, the rest of the prize pool was given to us by the teams after they qualified this season. So, yes, a big thank you to SRC. And, of course, great to hear from Ruben Pedreño as he took us around this circuit. Unfortunately, won't be doing any driving in qualifying tonight. Of course, we'll be starting last here in the field as Keedan Lutt decides to retire from P7. And I think for once, Corey, I can kind of understand 7th retiring. Normally we think, oh, that's a bit, it's a little bit risky, but only 3 cars will go out from this session, and the gap between P7 and P16 is, well, we'll just say P15 for realistic times. It's already 5 tenths nearly, so maybe it's not that much of a risk retiring from P6 or P7.
See, I agree with you, though. We normally look at that P7 retirement and think, maybe, is that a risk? It's a bold strategy. You've got over a tenth to Gabor Santos ahead of you. But like you said, 3 cars are only going to get dropped from qualifying 1 with the retirement of Tachubi, unfortunately, on the outlap, and Ruben Pedreño serving that qualifying ban. A lot of drivers can feel a bit more comfortable and a bit more safe here in what is undeniably a very stressful and requires all of your concentration circuit just to even survive around the streets of Baku.
Certainly, as we have got laps underway, the final laps of this Q1 session. First is Piotr Staklek and the Alpine. A bit of a tap, I think, into the wall there, through into turn 2, or at least it looked like it from our camera angle. As he now makes his way down to turn number 3. We'll see what he can do through here. Of course, yet again, late on the brakes, you've got to just thread the car through so precisely in this first sector. It's so difficult to get a good first sector when you've got to be, inch perfect as you head through there. And we'll see what the end of that first sector will be. It is up by 29 thousandths, but that doesn't really convince me, Corey. He'd only be, well, he wouldn't even improve position. He needs to find another 10th on top of that, nearly.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Needs to find a lot more than that in Sector 2 here. I wonder if he just ran a little bit slow towards one of the few tight, twisty corners here in Sector 2. We'll see the Sector 2 split now as he gets around the triple left-handers, you can call it that, although it's more of a flat-to-the-floor straight with a few little kinks that you can say the least before you harsh on the brakes into turn 15. Now, this can be race ending for some drivers and just clatters the wall ever briefly. They're riding down it to make sure that he can shut off a bit more speed. And 4/10 is up, so definitely had a moment on that lap. Did Stachulek in Sector 2, and now it's just flat to the floor. Not many places you can make a mistake here in Sector 3, so it's all guns blazing to the checkered flag.
Indeed, and Ikebana will not be setting a lap time, so I think he might also have got a qualifying ban, possibly, because I don't think he actually went out of the pit lane. But what can Staklek do? Up to the line, goes 7th fastest. A nice lap for him. And then we have the 2 McLarens. Lots of pressure here on Szymon Lekomski, currently one of 2 drivers in the 1:38s. As Leo Lund heads up to the line, he goes 10th fastest with a .794. What can Lekomski do in that McLaren heading up to the line? Goes P10 as well. Nice lap from him. Then we have the 2 VNT cars. First, it's Ryan Modler. A really good opening session from him so far here for the VNT team as he heads to the line, goes 8th fastest. Then Victor Vidler, where can he go? As Daniel Prodi goes into P10. A nice lap from him, puts 1,000th between himself and Lekomski. Of course, Vidler will be in a little bit of an uncomfortable zone. Goes 13th, and Tudor Pressakan up to the line goes 12th. There's lots of pressure here on Julian, and he's made a mistake. He's down on his lap. Julian Klaffenbach will not be going into Q2. He must have hit the wall as he has got damage on that car. And of course, winning last time out in season 5, it will be a Q1 elimination here in Season 6. And if they wanted any chance of fighting with Red Bull or Ferrari themselves, that chance could be truly over already.
Yeah, and Monar as well, retiring from that lap. He's just gone straight into the pit lane, so that'll be Monar. Klaffenbach, 2 drivers you don't ever see out of qualifying 1, just not having the laps come together for them, and they are out of the 3 cars that could be dropped. It's 2 of the esports team drivers, so wow, that's not something you see every week.
Certainly not, and look at the gaps there. I mean, between Leo and Victor, it was 1,000th, and they were both only a position away from dropping down into that bottom 5. So great job by VNT to get both cars through into Q2. That'll certainly put them in a decent spot, especially considering they're only 8 points back from FRT in P9. So there is a chance that they could possibly jump up into 9th in the championship. Of course, that depends on what they can do in the race and what FRT can do in the race as we now head our way into Q2. And now, of course, the pressure really does ramp up now because we saw those gaps. The top 15 separated by half a second nearly. I mean, first of all, those gaps are needing to come down for those who were in the bottom 5 there. For those that were 11th to 15th there. But also those near the top will have to push that little bit more. And of course, in more pushing comes more risk of ruining your lap or possibly doing a Julian Klaffenbach.
Yeah, absolutely. Just clattering the wall, picking up some damage, and absolutely denying your chances of seeing that Q3 start, or if not that top 10 start in the Grand Prix. But now we see a lot of drivers start to flood the track to get their initial banker done and dusted. This is where you start to see a couple more runs in qualifying 2. The drivers try and climb into that top 10. Like we say, it's only a 10-car shootout in qualifying 3. If you haven't been here before, this is where things start to get a little spicy before the real show starts to unfold.
Certainly is, as we put a few cars out onto track here. Of course, we've got Leo Lund, Keaton Lutz, Daniele Parodi, Ishmael Fassi, Victor Vidler, everybody coming out onto circuit here for their first runs in Q2. And of course, I've got to say, big congrats to Luca Rapace in Q1 there. Did a really good lap to be just behind both of the Ferraris. Could he possibly be a contender for a podium this evening? And that would be really good for Veloce Academy. I mean, I expected them to drop off after last season. I didn't think they'd go back-to-back in championships. But I didn't think they'd go from winning it to P7. I thought they'd be comfortably top 5, maybe 4th or 3rd. But yeah, it's been really, really disappointing for Veloce Academy. So I'm hoping tonight they can try and rustle something up here.
Yeah, and with Luca Rapace showing that he has got some contending pace here, especially in qualifying 1 though. It'll all come down to this qualifying 2 and qualifying 3. It could certainly help your previous season champions just get a little bit higher up there. Like you say, your top 5, you expected it, but there has been a difference in the lineups coming from season 5 into season 6. Drivers have been swapped around and gone on to different teams, and those that were in a community team could have potentially moved up into full spot esports teams. So there has been the changes in the lineups which you've seen into season 6 and hasn't helped Veloce in the slightest.
No, certainly has not, as the first car to begin a lap will be Daniele Parodi, the sole RAG car here in Q2. He's certainly got a lot of work if he wants to try and challenge Red Bull later on. In terms of that points standings, they are separated by 9 points currently. 311 to Red Bull, 302 to RHG. As we make our way down towards turn number 3 here with the RHG driver. Of course, get the car turned in nicely. And I think there was a loss of the rear there slightly for Parodi. And that could have certainly ended up in a barrier. And I think that's the issue with this track, isn't it? You've got to carry so much speed. It's like Monaco, but with speed. And that really doesn't sound good as a combination, does it?
Ooh. Again, then coming through the chicane in the start of Sector 2, 5 and 6, just getting a little bit of a tank slapper over to the right-hand side, but corrected it well, and now gets going out of Turn 7. Parodi certainly struggling on this initial banker lap, so we'll be looking to try and find the tenths that he's lost in his next runs. At the minute, it's damage limitation, set the time, and see where you're going to place yourself. It's still pushing very, very hard as we get around 14 now, and down towards the harsh braking 15. Yeah, well and truly clear of that barrier, but does just graze it ever slightly, a bit gracefully, if you would.
Indeed, as Daniele there, a nice Sector 2, and will certainly round off a decent first lap. Of course, some cars will be on a new set of tyres if they only did one run in Q2. Some of them might be on a used set if they want to save a set ready for Q3. So let's see what Parodi can do, and I think he might actually be going into the pits, potentially. Yes, he is. Parodi will be backing out of that one and will enter the pit lane. Same goes for Keaton Lutz, I think. Yes, see, I want someone in the chat that's possibly an engineer to explain to me what the point of that is. I don't know why people go out for a lap and go back in. It would really be great to kind of figure out why that is, because my brain can't get around that. I really can't understand it. As Ryan Modder goes quickest ahead of Keaton Lutz, and then Lukomsky goes in. And Jonas says, just to keep driving and not get bored. Ah, okay. All right. Yeah, because I've always wondered why. Because I swear, Corey, either everybody does it or nobody does.
Yeah, no, I've got to agree with you on that. Like, just to keep driving, not get bored. Yeah, slap on some used tyres, do a lap, count down the clock. We see it all the time, qualifying one. The first 5 to 7 minutes, you barely see anything but intermediate runs. Like, it's how it is. They need to weigh down that clock. So if they've got a certain amount of tyres to use, it's not like real Formula 1 where they can reuse tyre a lot better than they could, and especially in a track like Baku, the tyre wear is not going to be going in their favour. They've got 12 turns to the left and only 8 to the right, and of course you've got the triple left-handers where you're harsh on the brakes, 90 degree, harsh on the brakes, 90 degree, and then you DRS aided, picking up a shed of speed down towards turn 3, harsh on the brakes, 90 degree left turn. It's punishing on that right side degradation.
Yeah, it certainly is, as we get many cars now back out on track to actually go for some runs, I'd hope so. I think, yet again, another really great night in qualifying for Gabor Chontos so far. We saw that back in round 1 or 2, I think it was, when he, qualified 4th or something like that. And, you thought at that point, do FRT have a chance? But unfortunately not. And it, proved to show in the recent rounds that they haven't been where Gabor has taken them in the past. And hopefully he can try and lead them to a top 10 once again here in this series. I think he finished 7th in that race. He qualified 4th due to a time penalty. He was actually on for a podium. So yeah, hopefully Gabor can deliver some brilliance tonight. I think, once again, another decent job by Tudor Pressakan. Has been here a couple of times this season, and yet again looks quite, fast and might have the pace to get through into Q3. We'll see in around 10 minutes' time. And then, of course, the same old story for Ulash and Kian. There's always a point where you think, oh, one of them's under pressure. As soon as you say that, boom, they're right up near the top. I think, yet again, there's nothing for Red Bull to worry about. They should comfortably both be in Q3.
Yeah, it's something that you don't really see often with the Red Bull duo. They've been fairly strong all season long, like you said. They're staying up there with Ferrari, trying to challenge them for the championship. But Ferrari have just brought that better lineup. They scored consistent victories, and just that gap has opened up and pulled away. I believe Red Bull did have one bad race result, which has then hindered their progress, where Ferrari took a good result and has opened up the gap even more. But R8G as well, they've done well to stay just behind Red Bull and bring the challenge to them as well. So Red Bull still have a bit of pressure from P3 in the standings, the R8G team.
Certainly, as we'll go on board here with Piotr Staklek for Alpine. Of course, Andre Marnar made a mistake on his lap and unfortunately finished 16th in Q1. So only one Alpine will be here in Q2 with 8 minutes to go. So Piotr has to get a decent time on the board, and I think once again he probably will do. He's got a lot of experience in this scene. He raced in F1 Sim Racing, I think it was the 23 Championship. He was part of the Haas team, made a couple of appearances, did get a couple of points, I think. So, he has experience racing at the top, so I'm sure he'll do more than fine here this evening as he makes his way through in towards turn 7 and then into the infamous Castle section, which yet for anybody to make a mistake here, but I don't want to eat my words and next lap someone absolutely flies into the barrier, because I'm sure it's going to happen at some point as we head our way through in towards turn number 15. Of course, the famous moment, what was the saying now, Corey, when Roman Grosjean got hit now? I forgot the saying. What was it? Ericsson hit me or something? I can't.
Yeah, Ericsson hit me.
Is that what it was? Yeah. Or Ericsson drove into me. I can't remember.
Yeah, Ericsson hit me. What's he doing, Ericsson? Ericsson just hit me. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's you just reminded me of that. I haven't thought about that. Absolutely.
Let's hope we get none of that tonight. I think safety cars are a given, but hopefully we don't get any sort of people accidentally binning in it by themselves.
Daniel Parodi, fastest, immediately jumped by Piotr Stachulek as we see him go racing to the checkered flag. Riccardo Benzoni just falls behind that, and Keenan looked. Has he stayed where he is? Yeah, he's already set that time there, so not improving over Ryan Modler. Gabor Santos up to the 27.3s. Beautiful lap there, Tudor Pressakan with a 1:38. So mistake there for Tudor Pressakan, and Ulasa Zildrim joins him with a 37.373. So just a few thousandths away from Gabor Santos before Ismail Fassi finds just over a tenth over Gabor Santos for Ferrari. Takes a provisional fastest in Q2.
Indeed, and Declan Barrett up to second place, a 37.294. I was thinking earlier on, maybe he didn't have that ultra pace in that FVR V-Cub machine. Never mind, he has got a lot of pace in that and goes P2 and goes, to be the second driver into the point twos. We had no point twos in Q1. We've got two of them so far here in Q2 as we head through with Leo Lund into the end of Sector 1. I don't know if he's on a lap or if he's heading back to the pits. I'm sure we'll see shortly. Yeah, I wasn't quite sure. We'll see through Castle. Does he push or not?
Well, he's
no, I think he's off.
Focused on recharging the battery. He's certainly not focused on that. What's the lap data telling us?
Definitely not a lap.
No, definitely running very slow there.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be surprised if it was, because he didn't lift on the throttle at all on the exit of the Castle. I'm sure he'll head back into the pits very, very shortly and look to go again as Keith Dunlop heads back in. Of course, a 38.4 only good enough for him, and Tudor Pressakan only managing a 38.0 He'll certainly need to find some pace. But VNT, not too shabby at all after the first runs, P10 and P11. So maybe we could see VNT possibly into Q3 this evening. And, you know, it might be a little bit late, but maybe they're actually going to get a decent result tonight.
Well, certainly towards the back end of the season, better late than never for VNT, it must seem, as they're at the bottom of the standings at the minute, but they've only 8 points away from FRT, and FRT aren't doing too well. It's Gabor Santos who's sort of carrying the weight of FRT on his shoulders right now with that P3 Q2 time, but it's good enough to get him into Q3. Is it good enough to stay there and get a podium out of Q3? That's the question.
Indeed, as we have everybody now just making their way back in, and then of course it's going to be the next runs in Q2, the final runs in Q2, to see who will be making their way through. It's that top 10 shootout. As looking at the gap to the leader, it's currently 5 tenths between the top 10, but it's only 3 tenths between the top 9. So that means there's a significant gap between the top 9 and the bottom 6 currently. So maybe once again we could see the top 4, top 5 potentially retire due to that just comfortability of knowing that the cars further back haven't quite got that pace. But I'm sure we'll see as the next few minutes unravels. But definitely a nice lap from FVR and FRT up into the top 3. I mean, like I said earlier on, Corey, we've only ever had 2 esports drivers / cars finish in the top 3 of a race here at Baku. The rest going to Veloce Academy, Race Clutch, SRC and F7R. So maybe that's going to be the same again with this time, though, with FVR and FRT.
Yeah, maybe again, unless again Ismail Fassi can make it 3 esports teams to the top. But Declan Barrett's certainly bringing some hefty pace. He's only half a tenth away from that Ferrari driver. So at the moment, Declan Barrett's certainly looking very racy and pacey indeed. We'll see how qualifying 3 goes. But out on the track right now, Piotr Stachulek, to see if he can improve that time, doesn't feel safe though in 6th position with that 37.4.
Indeed.
Neither do the Red Bulls.
Yeah, no, the Red Bulls they're looking comfortable, but Ulash, brilliant lap from him. Can I get my words out, please? A 10th ahead of his teammate, Keenan Godendorp, on a .476. And I think, once again, Red Bull, it's such a difficult spot because the reason they're second is because of the consistency. I mean, it's not like they come here, they bomb pole by 2 tenths and they start winning races all the time. They're just consistent. You know, they're always in the top 10 pretty much, apart from the Silverstone round, which we will not talk about because I don't think Red Bull were even pleased with that. But, you know, apart from that, they're always in the top 5, always in the top 8, and that's why they're second place. Not because of wins and podiums, but just because of pure consistency. And, you know, maybe next season, if we ever come back on this game, they can go that one step further and look for a championship. But it's always hard when you have a team like Ferrari against you, who are just insane. I don't know what it is about E-Series, but whenever they turn up here, they're just another level. And I mean, if we saw their, you know, what they can do here, you'd be thinking, well, why can't they do it in F1 sim racing? Well, I mean, you ask me. I really don't know.
Yeah, it seems to be like opposite ends of the stick. So yeah. E-Series, Ferrari absolutely smash it. And as we saw last season of Formula 1 eSports, it was the Red Bulls who took it. Not by victories again, just on the pure consistency. It was Jarno Otmir who managed to score constant points, get the championship. And again, there you go. Like you say, it's Red Bull now are becoming known for this pure consistent point scoring, which sees them take championships.
Certainly is, as we do have Ulash Azildrim on a lap here. His final lap of Q2, heading down towards turn number 3. Get the car turned in nicely. Decent job indeed here by Ulash in Sector 1, of course. His main aim here will be just to complete a lap. An improvement would be nice, but not necessary for him here at this point, as he is up by over half a tenth in Sector 1. That could put him up into P3, ahead of Gabor Chontos, who's also on a lap himself. Surprisingly, only the top 2 decided to retire from this one. I thought we would have seen up to possibly Kian decide to end this session early, as Ulash through into the castle. Very nice job so far. Then in through into turn 13 at the left-hander. And then, of course, flat out down towards the end of Sector 2. And we'll see what sort of improvement, Corey, he's on through this middle sector.
Yeah, no, harsh on the brakes in towards turn 15, just grazing the barrier. We see it time and time again from some drivers, and plenty of battery saved for that mighty long finishing straight up by just over 1/10 of a second. So it could potentially be challenging for a new fastest time. We'll see how much speed he can gain towards that checkered flag. Not many corners to gain any time here in sector 3. It's just pedal to the metal and away you go down towards that waving checker. So here we go. DRS is open. Ulash Zildrim. Is it a new time? But it is still a good improvement to jump him above Gabo Santos.
Indeed, as Keaton Look goes into 4th fastest. Then we have Riccardo Benzoni goes 3rd, just ahead of Declan Barrett. Then we have the 2 VNTs. Ryan Modler 4th quickest. What a lap from the Haas Carp. The VNT driver goes 4th. Lukomsky only goes 9th. That could put him into a spot of bother as Kian Godendorp goes quickest. A .172 there for the Red Bull driver. Daniele Parodi will not be making it through to Q3. What about Victor Vidler? He could be. And Gamel Chontos has also made a mistake. He won't improve from 10th place. So it's down to Luca Rapasa, who's also had an invalidation. No top 10 for him. What about Tudor Prasakan for Veloci Academy? Up to the line, 11th. No Veloci Academy cars will make it through into Q3. So for VNT, they will be certainly happy with that. Both cars into the top 10.
Oh my word, you love to see it from bottom in the championship standings and barely getting into Q3 all season long to both cars qualifying for qualifying 3 and a 10 driver shootout for pole position. Venturi absolutely raving with it. They're in a beautiful position here, but Ryan Modler, what a lap! A 37.264 to be one of the drivers to get into that .2 time.
Indeed, a really nice lap there from Ryan, and if he can do that in Q3, you know, we could potentially see a top 5 on for VNT, never mind just a top 10, as we, of course, will see. Prasakan, Lukomsky, Parodi, Lund and Rapasa depart this session. And once again, what is going on at McLaren? What is happening there? Because, once again, no Q3 appearances, and this is actually a race where they didn't have any quali bans, so yeah, not good at all for McLaren. For Veloci Academy as well, Luca Rapasa, fire in Q1, a .3, and that would have been even safe here in Q2, and unfortunately found an invalidation and didn't set a lap time on the board. And Prasakan, I think it was, you know, not as bad for him. He did qualify, I think, like 200 or 300 away from the top 10, so a big shame for him. But into Q3, both VNTs, an FRT, and then both of the FVR cars, community teams, just have something with this circuit, it seems, because something else I forgot to mention was that Tess have took pole here, and so have F7R. So, once again, no esports teams have ever taken pole at Baku.
Oh, wow. This is just one of those tracks that doesn't seem to be favoured by the esports teams, and the community teams seem to just be the more knowledgeable or experienced, or just seem to have the better pace here, as proven time and time again, like you say, Nathan. I wonder, will we see another community team take pole, if not take a race victory here in Baku in PSGL E-Series? But now the clock has downed a minute. The drivers wait patiently for the best time to take to the track for what could be their chance at pole position, if not at least in the top 3, which could help you along into getting a podium position in the end. We've seen how difficult it is to overtake all season long, so qualifying position is crucial, it is critical, and of course your strategy as well in the race, that proves to be denominating factors in race victory.
Certainly does. Before I ask you, Corey, everybody in the chat, let us know who you think will take pole position here this evening. There's lots of candidates to choose from, and there's many that easily, I think, could take pole position here if they can set the perfect lap. Corey, who are you going with?
Now, I know people would want to root for a community team. They want to go for that wild card underdog and say for the likes, Ryan Modler's got a chance at pole, but I'm going to sort of try and keep it realistic to the script of what we've seen. But I think Kian Gordon-Dorp, my prediction for pole will be the Red Bull Kian Gordon-Dorp. And then I think you may see Ismail Fassi line up just behind.
Oh, so Kian and Ishmael, the top 2. Red Bull and Ferrari, that could certainly get quite tasty. In the chat, let us know, guys, who you think will take pole. We've got Chris Samurai. I'm not going to accept that answer because it's biased, but he says Keaton Lutz. Sam Sundar says Ishmael Fateh. Oh no! Oh no! Ishmael Fateh. I need to get my words out. I nearly was offensive there to Ishmael. I bet you an easy pick. I'm going to go for Declan Barrett. Don't know why, but his name is highlighted out to me. Declan Barrett for pole position. I'm sorry, Ishmael, for calling you quite a rude term there.
We'll wait and see how this pans out. Declan Barrett, though, he had the pace. He was looking quick in Q2. So, you know, it's not out of the woods. It's a Hail Mary send that you're trying to throw out here, Nathan. So, yeah, let's keep our eyes peeled to see what Declan Barrett's able to produce here as the next 9 minutes unfold. But every car is now to the track. And leading us away with the first set of times will be the Ventor. And I think it's Victor Widler. So, one of the two drivers, underdog team, coming back and getting that double Q3 appearance. Victor Widler, take us away and let's see what sort of lap we can produce here and now as we get the clock ticking down.
Indeed, what can Piot do into turn 1? Turn 2, sorry, brakes nice and late, and then of course DRS open down to turn 3. I think this will be a crucial point as well, Corey, in this race. Especially if you're like second in the train and you're heading down to here on the final lap. There's always that slight opportunity. If you just go for a send into turn 3, using that DRS, a car might think, oh, actually, he's going to send it. Let's give him some room, give him some space, and they can filter up the inside and go through into the lead. There's also the chance that going down towards there, nothing happens because the DRS isn't strong enough. So there's two possibilities there. Everything or nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see how it pans out. This is my first Baku Grand Prix on F125. So, again, with the slipstream, the dirtier, we know the DRS as we'd like it to be. You don't see as many overtakes, and it's been proving to be ever difficult to overtake. So, again, into turn 3, is the DRS going to be powerful enough to even make it possible to make a lunge? You raised a good point when you said about how powerful it can be. So, yeah, you've got me thinking there. Down into turn 3, do you have enough track, rear wing open, enough time to get alongside to make that potential dive into turn 3? Because some tracks you expect it to happen and they're just not close enough.
No, I think like Silverstone the other week when you're like 6/10 back and you get to Stowe and you're like 4/10 back. What's going on there, EA? Because that was really a poor ending, wasn't it? So we do have our first laps on the board, a 38.0, 9.3 for Piotr Staklek. Of course, these are mostly going to be used tyre runs for the first of the Q3. First runs of the Q3 session. Victor Vidler is next to cross the line for VNT. Where can he go? It's a 38.02, goes quickest ahead of Piotr Staklek. Ryan Modler goes quickest at 37.7, and if that is a used tyre, that's a good lap from him as Gabor Chontos at 37.160. And I think, Corey, that is not going to be a used tyre, neither for Riccardo Benzoni. The first car into the 36s, it's a 136.930.
Wow, that is an absolute stellar lap from Benzoni. Wasn't looking to be up on the top spots for Q3 and Q2, was more midfield, but still good enough to get through into Q3. And look at that, straight to the top with a 36, the first 36 time that we've seen in qualifying so far. This is his teammate Ishmael Fassi, a 37.1, so just falling short by 2/10, as I think that was Declan Barrett moving up to a 37.6 in P5. His teammate Keenan Lutt will hit the checkered flag and just go ahead with the 37.28 last. Well, next towards the line and last towards the line, Ulas Zildrim. Is that a new set of tyres? Will you be taking the top spot? Nope. You will fall to 4 for the 37.1 as well. So, it seems to be Benzoni, the fastest out of the lot, able to find that time. Beautiful lap though.
It was indeed, and of course, crucial for the championship, and wrapping it up today, is that Ferrari get pole position. You do get 1 point for taking pole, so that would mean in the race, Ferrari only need to score 8 points if they can take pole. I think technically 7, but they'll still win it on countback, wouldn't they, Corey?
Yeah.
He was the one with all the maths.
Yeah, so we technically need to only have 7 points ahead. If they get pole, this is with pole, they need to be 7 points ahead at the end of this race in points positions. So they need to score 7 extra points over Red Bull over the entire course of the Grand Prix, whatever position they may finish in, and that will see Ferrari take the championship because of max points over 1-2, and Ferrari to not score over the next 2 races would only see Red Bull level on points, and then it would go to count back, and then there you would see Ferrari take it with all the wins that they've had throughout this season 6.
Certainly, as we now see all of our cars heading back into the pits, and then we'll get going once again. And yeah, Shona says if we do lose 2 points to RHG, then it still goes to the next round. Yes.
Yes.
I don't think we needed to mention that much, though. I can't see that really being a possibility. But of course, if it could happen, we'll mention that as and when. Of course, for RHG are only 9 points back from Red Bull themselves. So I think even if that championship is over, there's always that chance for second place to ignite. And then, of course, the battle for P4 to P6 is only 22 points. That's being Williams, FER and Alpine. And with the fact that no Williams are in Q3, they're both starting at the back, and that we have both FERs in the top 10, this is a massive opportunity for FER to possibly be 4th place, which I think at the start of the season, I wasn't betting on that. I'd thought they'd do better than they did last time, but I thought they'd be around P6, P7, not in the fight for 4th.
Yeah, absolutely. FER are looking now to challenge against Williams. Williams have had that qualifying van to serve, which we also saw the second driver, Ekabena, not even go out for a lap, didn't retire or anything, just sat in the pit lane. So that's 2 Williams cars down and out in qualifying 1, down at the back of the field. And they've got FER with both drivers in Q3. So this could be the time, like you say, where FER are going to jump ahead and up into P4 ahead of Williams. And that's beautiful for FER.
Indeed, as we have a couple of cars now making their way onto track. The first one being Piotr Stanklek in the Alpine. Of course, currently P10, but that's because he set his lap time on a used tyre, hence why he is 1.1 seconds off. Normally, he'd be nowhere near that lap time, as we do see Ryan Modler, Kian Godendorp, Ricardo Benzoni also go out on track nice and early, and then Gabor Chontos. And I mean, what a qualifying this could be for him. If he could try and jump on the front row or even take pole, that would make FRT's season, I think. Because at this point, I think a top 10 for them, they're cheering in their seats, and, you know, the whiskey and vodka's out for them if they get a top 10. You get a top 3. Yes, there might be a few sore heads tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. And of all the drivers who could potentially bring FRT to a podium spot, of course, it is Gabor Santos. Good talent, very quick driver, and he's looking like certainly has the pace here in Baku to bring FRT that podium. So they're certainly going to be on the edge of their seats all night, watching Gabor Santos lap after lap until that checkered flag starts to wave.
Indeed, as we have now all of our cars on circuit. The first one being Piotr Stanklek, and he's had a habit of this evening. I think Q1, 2 and 3, he's gone out first. So he has had a lot of airtime. So clever to Alpine for that strategy. But he's heading now down towards turn 1 to kick us off for the final runs here around Baku, of course, with the time being under 1 minute and 30. That means nobody can go for a second run. This run is your last run.
Absolutely, people forget, although there's only 20 turns, this is quite a long lap. It is 6 kilometres in length around the Baku circuit, and times, as you can see, coming in over 1 minute and 36 seconds. So, with it only being 1 kilometre less than Spa-Francorchamps itself, people forget how long Baku can actually be. But for Piotr Stanklek down towards turn 3, we may see a little graze on the wall that we've seen so many drivers
Ryan
do.
Modler!
Yes, we do.
Ryan Modler's round at turn 1.
Oh, that's Modler's chances gone. Ventura. We're looking good in qualifying 3, but I don't think Modler's going to on this lap. It's all eyes on Victor Widler for Ventura Esports as he's just getting around turn 1 now.
Indeed, as we go back on board here with Piotr Stanklek through and towards the middle sector we go, and we'll see what he can do on this lap, of course. Needs something big, and he's into the barriers. Luckily, comes away unscathed. Somehow, there's still 4 wheels remaining on that car, and that means no improvement at all for Piotr Stanklek in this session. Next to keep an eye on is Kian Godendorp here for Red Bull. Down towards the castle section himself, makes his way through quite nicely. Millimetres away from the barriers on either side as he heads out of turn 13. Down towards 14 and 15 we go here with Kian Godendorp. What can he do for Red Bull? Of course, a point for pole position would mean it so that Ricardo Benzoni and Ismail Fassi would need to take 9 points rather than 8. But of course, if Ricardo takes it, it means it's 7 points rather than 8 here as we make our way through out of turn number 16 and down to the line for Kian Gerdendorp. Can he take pole position away from the charge of Riccardo Benzoni? Of course, he's had a podium here before, so Riccardo's that time will be difficult to beat. A tenth and a half nearly is what's needed here for the Red Bull. Heading up to the line, it's Kian Gerdendorp first. What can he set? It will be quickest. It's an 8.96 for Gerdendorp. Next is Benzoni. He goes quicker by a tenth and a half to put onto the board. A 7.51 for him. Next we have Gabor Chontos for FRT. Where can he go? He goes third. He stays third, but it's still a decent improvement for him. Next we have Victor Vidler goes 7th for VNT. Their best qualifying so far this season. And then it will be Ulash Azildrim for Red Bull. Can he try and go to the top step of qualifying? No, stays 4th quickest. Then we have Ismail Fassi, currently P5. Can he make it? A Ferrari 1-2 up to the line, goes 3rd. And then the 2 FVRs. Luck goes first. He's 7th. What about Declan Barrett to the line? And I think he jumped just into the top 5.
Wow. Well, predictions thrown out of the window. Benzoni has managed to improve on that to a 36th time and holds out pole. Kian Gerdendorp just falling short, although I did think he may have striked for pole position, but doesn't. It's Kian and then Ismail Fassi. Gabor Santos still good enough for that P4, which is beautiful for FRT, and Ulash Azildrim just falling short though, which means Ferrari, as they are now, if this goes all the way through, the championship is theirs. And Declan Barrett for FVR lining up just ahead of his teammate Keegan Luck for 6th and 7th, Victor Widler and Ryan Modler for Ventura 9th, and then Piotr Stachelek, I don't know how to say his name, but he said in the chat that he's not happy being called Piok. So, I don't know how to say your name, but he lines up at the collision into the casual section. In the chat, somebody said that his name is not Piok. Piok. It's...
Piok. Well, actually, Primoz, I know it's not that, but I got told when I messaged him, just say Piot if it's easier. So that was from him himself. Like I always say, if a driver doesn't like the way I pronounce something, I'll try my best. But yes, Polish names aren't easy for me, or whatever sort of name it is. I think it's Polish. Yes,
if
not
you
easy
can
for
write
me.
Pronunciation in English, a way for the English to read it, then that would be a much better than typing the spelling of his name, because it doesn't help with pronunciation.
No, but we have got a restart before we head through into the race, and I'm going to hope that I can get the sponsor boards to work. It turns out, because I didn't validate the files after the game's update, it doesn't work apparently, so hopefully I can get it sorted out. But we will be back very, very shortly. We're just going to quickly hear first from Sim Racing Centre.
And we are back in, and as you can see, nice little look back at the standings which Ferrari are taking at that pole position, helping them along in the championship hopes here tonight. This could be it. Ferrari could take the championship as they have got that 120-point lead over Red Bull. They just need 8 points more over Red Bull here tonight, and with Ulash Azildrim starting in 5th position, this could prove to be the denominating factor. But it's all about strategy. It's all about the race. What can they pull out? And could they lift that trophy high with 2 rounds still left to go in this season? Red Bull, though, with 311 and R8G, still technically could be in the fight. Like Jonah Martins has kindly told us, only 2 points to R8G in that sense for the Ferrari boys. And then Williams could be under threat from FVR here tonight. They've had a disaster qualifying, but the FVR managing to get both drivers into qualifying 3, getting to that top 10, starting themselves off nice and beautiful and scoring as many points as possible to get past the Williams team for 4th. And Alpine as well. They're trying to score some points that could help them along to stay in the fight against FVR and Williams, because it is a 3-team fight here for 4th in the championship before we look to Veloce, who were just sort of there in the middle in 7th with 181. And then we have another little battle further back McLaren, FRT, and Venturi Esports as well. Gibson's kindly said that that's the one he's cursed for. He's keeping his eyes on McLaren, FRT, and Venturi. Venturi have both, crucially, got their drivers into the top 10, starting 8th and 9th. So, again, they're looking good to potentially get out of that bottom spot.
Indeed, and I'm not sure what Will Gibson's obsession is with McLaren, because I've been DM'd in all caps saying, mention the battle for Macca in P8. So he's quite obsessed with the fact that McLaren aren't doing well here this season, and I'll hate him for that, Will Gibson. I'll make sure everybody knows what you said. But of course, the one thing that McLaren didn't do that you did is bottle a championship in F7 when you said you was F4 pace. So we'll leave that one for you to debunk, Will.
I'm excited to see if Ferrari are going to take this. Now, I mentioned last week, I ran some numbers last week to see if it could go Ferrari's way, but it wasn't Ferrari's way last week. It has gone to this week, and I'm excited. This is what we've been waiting for. 10 rounds all come down to this one very moment. It's going to be the time to shine. And what's this, 5 or 4 championships for Ferrari in E-Series?
They've had 3, Season 2, 3 and 4. Season 5 was a stinker, they finished 5th, but this season they're going to look to make it 4 out of 5. Of course, it probably could be 5 out of 6, but they didn't turn up in Season 1. But I'm sure they probably would have won it there as well.
Oh, they just keep winning. Just keep winning, it seems, in E-Series.
Yep.
They just absolutely dominate here. They just seem to have everything lining up for them, strategies, drivers, and just the tracks working to their favour. It's just beautiful to see Ferrari being able to show how good they really are. And everybody says Ferrari is the prestigious team, the top team everybody knows, but they have that way with strategies that doesn't really work out. But in E-Series, it certainly does.
Yeah, it really does. It'd be nice to put Johan Martins and Ben Gold on the real-life strategy team. I think that they might do a little bit of a better job then. As looking at the rest of the calendar for this season, of course, we're here, round 10, Azerbaijan. Next week on October 3rd, we head off to Texas. Of course, Dakota in the United States. And then the final round, which probably will mean absolutely nothing. October the 10th, the day after my birthday. I'll try not to be drunk on stream, because Friday I probably will have a few to drink. And that will be off to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Probably not best to mention Jeddah and drinking in the same sentence, Corey.
No, certainly not. It's not something you could get away with over there. That's a fact. I'm going to love it, though. I love Jeddah. I can't stress how much I mentioned this. And with it being the finale, it would not surprise me to see some controversial moments and some entertainment certainly coming our way. The drivers certainly throwing those cars around the circuit, and what could be a win. For some drivers from the back of the field, you never know. Actually finish in Jeddah, because Sector 1 is dangerous to say the least. 13 turns in Sector 1. So
Indeed, and of course, 26 laps in the whole race around here. So that will be, I mean, I've got my hopes up in the terms of the fact we've got 2 Williams and an R8G near the back. They'll have decent pace. They should try and push themselves forward through the field. But then apart from that, I have no hope. Unfortunately, I think at the top 5, top 6, it will just be lap 1 fight, lap 2 to whenever the pit stops are, sit there. They go into the pits, come back out, they fight for a lap, and then it's back into the train. I really think we're going to have no battling, and I probably shouldn't say that on stream, but I'm going to be honest. And of course, we know that this game it had a really good start. Like the first 2 days, everybody was, high for the game. It's like, oh my god, what a game this is going to be. And then everything started to fail once we actually figured out that you can't race on F125, and it is quite a shame to see the viewership levels that, the same as what they were on F124. So yeah, hopefully F126 we can improve once again. But no, it's definitely been a shame to see the viewership drop this season. And it probably doesn't help that we've had a dominated championship, does it, Corey?
No, absolutely not. I mean, people get bored of seeing the same thing over and over again. And we've seen it in IRL Formula 1. People got bored of the Max Verstappen dominance. Now people are starting to get a bit bored with the McLaren dominance. We know McLaren are fast car and it's just the same. Now it's just, who is Max going to be able to catch up? I've noticed that's the talk at the moment. Everybody's talking about now Max has got these upgrades and can strike back. Is he going to catch up and potentially bring a challenge to McLaren? So there's always talks out there for what's going to happen. But for this game, there's a little bit of no hope in 25. Like you say, it's hard to race, very difficult to race, and impossible to almost overtake. You've got to make stupid sends and risky manoeuvres to just try and get a chance at an overtaking position. It's just getting a chance. This is what is seeing that viewership drop, because they know it's just not entertaining like it used to. But 26, I do have hope. Only reason I've got hope is because I had to completely redesign the car. That it's a completely different regulation. You've of course got this new suspension model and the active aero, so that's certainly something that's going to change racing as a whole when this starts to get implemented. And smaller, faster, more agile cars, that's where racing used to be great.
Yeah, certainly. And I think another interesting one will be the fact that DRS is gone and we have MOM, the new system being used for Formula One cars. So Coventry's going to get interesting when mentioning the word MOM down the back straights and into the first corners. I'm sure there'll be many memes made using that word. But no, I think next year we're hopeful that we actually do have better racing in F1. And then if that means we have better racing in real life, that hopefully means esports can be a little bit more entertaining. And if that's the case, it means F1 are probably going to put more money into F1 esports, which is what everybody wants. But it's something F1 don't want to do because they're greedy. But yes, enough of our ranting, Corey. We are going to go into the race. Before I hand over to you to take the start, what is your predictions for the evening in terms of the top three?
Benzone is looking very, very quick, and from the rounds that we've seen early on, like say that Q2 finish last time out, but only good enough for P8 in the finishing, I think Benzone might have a good chance here at doing something at least, if not a podium.
Ooh.
So I'm going to say Benzone.
Rather overcast.
He's saying, oh, I know, I was just about to notice the same thing. It's looking a little grey. Now, if it rains in it pours. There's none of this light, breezy rain that you see. It gets very heavy in Baku. So I wonder if the game is going to follow the same principles. And let's see what happens.
Indeedio. But Corey, I'll let you take the start. You get the luxury of taking the chaos down to turn one, which normally isn't too bad here because, of course, it being as I think Martin Brundle said correctly, the shortest run down to turn one in Formula One this season. So you don't always get the most happening into the first corner, but then Turn 3 on the first lap can be quite chaotic, and then the same can go for Turn 1 on lap 2, when cars with lower wings are just going to be slipstreaming down towards Turn 1, and boom, we'll probably get a little bit a bit of carnage there.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. And the track is looking a little bit darker, so it's not going to be as hot as well. So they're going to have to put a bit more work into warming those tyres up and then focus on tyre management as well. We see a lot of going on in this game and something that the strategy is going to have to play a factor in for these drivers. But they get the setups applied now. They let the crews in the pit lane know what they would like to pit, what tyres they want to start on. They reapply the setups from the lobby restart from qualifying and into the racing session. And even if there wasn't a restart, we probably have park Fermé off because we know that these drivers like to use qualifying setups made specifically for one lap only to get the maximum time possible. And then they have those adjusted race setups that gives them the better tyre management, the better pace overall over a Grand Prix distance rather than that one lap pace. So now this is where the drivers prepare themselves and get into that good, clear mindset and get themselves going for the best start possible. They're taking the sweet times to get themselves nice and ready, but we do have the lights starting to light up. 3, 4, 5, the lights are grid is hot, the drivers are ready. It is time to rock and roll, and it is goal for round 10 in Baku, and immediately it's a beautiful start for Kian Gordendorp even, but it's an even better start for Gabor Santos, who's making it side by side with Ismail Fassi there, looking to try and contend for that third spot. Straight out of the gate further back, we have Leo Lund against Daniel Parodi, trying to go side by side, and it's 2 by 2 all the way down out of turn 2 towards turn 3. Like you say, this is where things can get a bit dangerous. We see the Haas boys, the VNT boys side by side, and further back than that, Ulash Zildrim and Kian Gordendorp battling out. I see flying back of the order, and that's Rapassa's been hit and he's been sent for a spin. He's down at the back of the field and has lost a lot of time on that 4 seconds time loss, and that's a damaged front wing for the Veloci Academy driver. That's disaster there, but they're still fighting hard and still scrapping hard as we get going into Sector 2 for the R8G. And as Simon Lakomsky tries to defend against Andrei Molnar.
As they all make it through into Castle section, all unscathed, but that was scary there between Ulash Zildrim and Declan Barrett, both of them coming to blows at turn 4, and somehow Declan Barrett kept it out of the barriers. I don't know how, but he certainly did, and that would have certainly been a big moment in this race. But we continue on. Lap 1 of 26 and VNT, what a start on the medium tyres, and I think it's actually half and half here. No, it's So 11 on the hards, 9 on the mediums. For once, we actually have a different strategy on track, finally. So VNT could certainly make this work if they go for that undercut strategy and, just try and get that track position after the pit stop as we head back down towards turn number 1. No moves being made unless there's a move further back, as it looked like for a moment that the two McLarens were battling, but no, it's just Leo Lund getting past Daniele Parodi as Ruben Pedreño. Oh, not happy at all there. Not sure what's happened. I think he must have been in the car caught up with Luca Rapassa as he's gone into the pits and boom, retired.
Yeah, something certainly happened.
Oh, is that a VSC?
That's VSC. We've gone to VSC.
Oh.
Wait, has he crashed in the pits? Did Ruben Pedreño crash in the pits?
It was Julian, apparently.
Julian Klaffenbach.
He got damage.
I think he's missing his front left end plate. That's ring damage, debris on the safety car.
Yeah, no, I saw there 420 saying visual glitch. I think it was because there was a weird, thing moving around behind the banner. I didn't know what it was, but yes, I could notice it, and it was weird. And Will Gibson says he got beeped by Luca. So that was the contact, Luca and Julian. Uh-oh, not good at all for the cars fighting down at the bottom of the field.
Ruben is in the pit wall. Yeah, see, I think what's caused this is Ruben in the pit wall.
Oh, Luca's also got damage.
Yeah, there was damage for Rapassa, which didn't see a safety car or anything like that. I just saw brief yellows. Julian Klaffenbach could have picked up damage at the same time in lap 1. We haven't seen when Klaffenbach hit. But then Pedreño goes into the pits and it's VSC. So something tells me Pedreño may be a pit wall. And we are back to green flags. So away we go. Back to racing. Ricardo Benzoni leads us.
Indeed. And
everybody else is following suit.
Yeah, you keep cutting out again, Corey. I'm not sure why. We fixed it last time, but it's back again. So I'll let you quickly try and sort that out. But we continue on, and of course, Gabor Chantos will be looking to make a move ahead of Ismail Fassi soon, being as he does want to make use of those medium tyres that he started on as Leo Lund gets past his teammates. I think it was more of Szymon Lekomski letting Leo Lund through rather than them battling as we head down to turn 1. And good thing to notice as well is that we have FER 6th and 7th, BNT 8th and 9th, Alpine 11th and 12th, and McLaren 13th and 14th, and RHE 15th and 16th. Many teams are just stuck together here at this point, which is good and also bad, I suppose, at the same time, especially when it comes to pit stops if a safety car does come out as we make our way down towards turn number 4 once again. Of course, with Szymon Lekomski on the hard tyre. Give it 6 laps and he'll be back fighting through all these on the mediums, but for now, he's just not going to have that pace to get any moves done. I think Gabor Chantos as well, he'll be wanting to get a move on ahead of Ismail Fassi, being as he's on, at the moment, the better tyre. But I suppose the good thing is he doesn't have to worry just yet about the charge of Ulash Yildirim as he makes his way through the castle section nicely. Through there for Gabor Chantos and nearly taking that inside barrier with him out to turn 13. And Corey, have we managed to fix the cutting out yet?
I think we have, maybe, I don't know. I think it might be time to invest in a new microphone. I've tweaked some settings, I've had a look at Discord to see what the noise suppression is
It's back, we'll roll with it.
So, wait, is it still cutting?
Yeah, but don't worry, we'll have to live with it, won't we?
Wait, what about that? Is that better?
Well, I need you to talk more than once, and
we'll
see if it cuts
I've just turned my mic up a little bit, and we'll see how it goes. I think I might need to invest in a new mic.
Yeah, no. Get Connor to do it for doing the whole season of E-Series.
Well, maybe something to ask the big C over in PSGL.
Oh dear me. So Luca Rapassa's got a move done this time ahead of Ika Bayana, and already they've lost that DRS to Julian Klaffenbach.
Is that any better?
I don't know. We'll just rock with it. No. Don't worry.
Well, looking on, everybody's now falling into that sort of running their own pace, but Leo Lund's making a little bit of a move there. Andrea Molnar does get through nice and easy coming out of turn 3, so McLaren moving up on the Alpine driver.
Indeed, a nice move from Leo Lund, of course, just trying to make use of these medium tyres if he can, as they make their way through in towards turn 6 and 7. Of course, a very, very difficult section is next, and that, of course, is the castle, which... I mean, I don't know how the cars make it through. And the weird thing is, I say that, but I can't remember, because I've driven many races at Baku in career mode, and I've never actually crashed at Castle. So it's weird how, like, you watch it and think, how? But then when you actually drive, it's not difficult. It's odd. Really odd.
I have a sort of love-hate relationship with the Castle section, and I've just heard a clatter. I think that's drivers just... I can hear them grazing the wall at turn 15 there. I can hear them like, as always, as you do.
Brilliant sound effects, Corey.
I have that love-hate relationship with Castle. Sometimes I can make it through without even escaping at some absolute speed, and then sometimes I'm Charles Leclerc. So I have a love-hate relationship with Castle.
Oh, and Unash Azildrim has lost DRS to Gabor Chontos. That is not good for the Red Bull driver, but I'm sure he'll get back within it by the time they get to the end of Sector 1. It's Luca Rapassa goes ahead of Takubi, and that is a much-needed move for Luca Rapassa, being as they have already lost DRS to the top 16. Of course, Rapassa is running with damage as Takubi there nearly into the barriers, and I think has taken some damage as well. I don't know what's happened to Kubi since Monza, because in Monza he qualified like 7th in Q1 and did a good job, but here he's I don't know what's going on with the pace, because it's rather poor, I think it's safe to say.
Yeah, he's certainly been struggling for the last for this round, to say the least. He's got Ikebana behind. I think Ikebana as well is running with damage. So front left end plate gone for Tachube, and Ikebana behind front right end plate is missing. So again, some drivers are just trying to now damage limitate until they get to the pit stop phases, where they will slap on a new wing and lose an extra 4 to 5 seconds in the pit stop, over losing an entire pit stop trying to box now. So it's damaging. It is damaging, but it's not as damaging as what it can be.
Indeed, as we do have a question in the chat, and that is Ibrahim Al-Atrash saying, why is Ishmael and Julian racing in this category? So E-Series is a teams championship. We have 6 esports teams, 4 community teams, of course, Red Bull, Ferrari, etc. And of course, that just means that Ismail Fassi is racing for Ferrari in this, and Julian Kleffenbach is racing for R8G in this championship. As what a camera angle that is through out of turn 17, I think we're 18. Brilliant angle of the cars flying through at speed. I really like that angle.
Oh wow, that was beautiful. So I've got the stream up on my second monitor. So I've got 2 perspectives over this Grand Prix. I can see what I want to see, and I can see what's being broadcasted. So I love that I've got the double perspective here. And that camera, I've got to agree, that's a good view. That is an amazing view in Baku. I like the helicopter cam as well when it follows you for about a full sector. I like looking down on the cars. It makes me think of like a Scalextric.
Yeah, actually, good analogy there. I can see where you're coming from. As Piot Stacklet got to move ahead of Tudor Pressacant, jumped up into the top 10 there for Alpine, but has got to get back within a second now of the top 9, which B&T are both still in. What a race this could be for the Venturi Esports team, who have been in a spot of bother all season long, but tonight could be their night. That is safe to say. Same can go for Gabor Chontos, of course, was in this points. 9 rounds ago in Australia, qualified 4th, but unfortunately penalties came through and he finished in P7. So we'll have to see what Gabor Chontos can do throughout the rest of this race. Maybe a top 4 could still be on the cards for him as we continue our way through, heading on to lap 7 of 26 very, very shortly. And Ferrari still seem in very much control. And I think, as I presume here, Corey, as things stand, Ferrari still will take the championship in this round, won't they?
Going to completely outscore Red Bull with the points that they're going to need, and Ferrari will be crowned champions here in round 10 unless something drastic happens and we see Ulas Ildrim jump ahead of Ismail Fassi, where then he may be able to keep it alive.
Yep, as Godendorp does go for the move, gets ahead of Riccardo Benzoni and jumps up into P1, and that could have been just, he wanted to go for the move, or possibly was trying to build that gap ahead of Ismail Fassi to over a second, but unfortunately, that didn't work, and they're still in the same order, just this time Kian is ahead of Ricardo. As we head back down towards turn number 3, looking further back, we have Leo Lund on the attack, and there we go, I can finally see Leo Lund. Down towards turn number 3, is he going to look for a move? No, a little bit too far back at the moment, and I think me asking if somebody's looking for a move is quite silly question around here, isn't it? Because I think we've had a couple of moves since lap 1. One of them just being for the lead.
Yeah, we've had so his moves are coming. It seems to be that the DRS is doing its job. They're able to gain time. They're able to make move. I have seen some overtakes into turn 3. So Baku seems to be a track you can actually race at, which is what we'd like to say in a Formula 1 game, which is more than what we've been able to say in previous rounds, where we have seen drivers have those opportunities to make overtakes here and fairly easy. But now we're getting to that stage where the tyres, those mediums, they're going to start to feel a little bit grim. They're going to start to hit that clip and drop off. So the best thing to think about now is how long can you go before you need to slap on those hard compound tyres?
Certainly, it's going to be, I'd say maybe lap 11 or 12. Some drivers might actually go in a couple of laps if they want to just try and just get that undercut done and have track position. We might see some really early pit stops, but I think lap 10, 11, 12 is the main point of where we'll see the medium cars pit if anybody does choose to go in this lap. I don't think anybody has done, no. Further ahead, we do have Piotr Stakelek, though, looking to make a move as Ismail Fassi goes ahead of his teammates. As what's happened to Benzoni? Out of turn 1, Riccardo Benzoni's gone deep into the corner and has lost many, many positions and now drops down to 7th place. Did you catch on what happened there, Corey?
He just seemed to be a little bit deep and a little bit wide and just had to cautiously try to get back onto the racing line. And in doing so, with everybody running the better racing line, have just slipped past him. He's dropped to 7th there now. This is beautiful. This is exactly what the Red Bull need. Now, I'm going to crunch some numbers. So let me just see exactly who's going to finish where in this point. Because as it stands, I think with the points gap there, they may have done enough to just take this to the next round at least.
Indeed. And yes, guys, if anybody wonders why at some points Corey just says nothing and sits there, that's because I've given him the job of number crunching and working out the championship permutations. I mean, I was never bad at maths. I passed maths at GCSE quite easily, but for some reason, I can't wrap my head around championship permutations. It's all the different minuses and pluses here and there. I just can't get it into my brain. So Corey's got the job of sitting there with his pen and paper and his calculator, and I've got the job of at some point trying to actually commentate this race.
Yeah, so I am starting to write down the numbers, and with that, it will, as it stands right now, with a 1-4 and a 2-7 for Red Bull and Ferrari, this official result will go to the next round. But here we go, Ismail Fassi jumps ahead of Kian Gordondorp. So again, another change in the lead. So I'm just going to keep my eyes on it and wait till the final lap to call it, well, to give some sort of indication of where things are going to go. But here we see pit stop starting and Riccardo Benzoni, one of the drivers, to follow suit. So he's going to try and go for that undercut after the disaster that has just come his way into turn 1.
Indeed, as we have, yes, Benzoni, Modler, Stachelek and Leo Lund all into the pits as Ulash Azildra gets ahead of Gabor Chontos. Gabor's going to fight it back into turn 4. Ulash back up the inside. And a move made there by Ulash Azildra. A much needed move there by the Red Bull car. And of course now puts them onto a provisional. 2, 3 of course, if after pit stops all things stay the same. So I presume Gabor will be thinking about a pit stop this lap because his tyres are certainly starting to drop off at the moment as we head through into turn 7 and then into the castle, turn 8 through to turn 12. And FVR, they could be on for a good strategy. If this hard to medium works better than the medium to hard, we maybe could, we could possibly see both of those in the top 5 potentially.
We're going to see how this is going to pan out now for those that are choosing to go for that undercut. It begs the question, is the rest of the medium runners going to go in now at the end of lap 9 here? Or are they going to try and go a little bit long? Like you see, expected maybe 11 to 12 laps. So for Kian Gordondorp, Gabor Santos, those that are running in this front pack, they may want to try and extend this and stay with these hard runners to give them the better chances later on when they have the fresher, harder compounded tyre. But the mediums, again, depending how long these hard tyre runners are going to go for, well, never mind, I'll be quiet. There we see Kian Gordondorp and Gabor dive over into that pit lane. They are going to box. The mediums are a little bit worse for wear, and now's the time to change.
Indeed, as we do have Kian, Gabor and Victor in the pits, and Tudor and Andre on their medium tyres still stay out. So everybody bar 2 are on a set of the hards. Of course, some of them being on a used set, some of them on a brand new set of hard tyres. So we'll be interested now to see what happens here for Ferrari. Of course, as Riccardo Benzoni gets out ahead of Gabor Chontos, but not ahead of Kian Godendorp, of course. That just shows how heavy that undercut is. Ricardo dropped down to, what was it, I think 7. He's now looking for the net lead of the race. He's on the outside of Kian Godendorp, but no move can be made for him, and he slots back into net P2, and that makes you think now those who now need to pit might as well go a lap or two longer and get that offset rather than falling behind on that undercut for the others.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a massive time game for Riccardo Benzoni. He dropped a minimum 5 positions after that incident into turn 1 and is now lining up just behind Kian Godendorp, the rival he needs to be behind, needs to finish ahead of to help Ferrari along in their championship fight. So here and now just goes to show that undercut was the best choice for Benzoni, and he's straight back in the fight.
Certainly is, and I'm sure he will be there till the very end of this race as Gabor Chontos, net P3 currently for FRT. What a result that could be for the team down in 9th in the championship. That would be really, really good. A generational podium, I think, for the whole of the series as we make our way through out of the final couple of corners. And Kian is going to get stuck behind the back of Ikabayana and Takubi. Now, is Takubi's pace real, or is that him trying to hold up for Gabor Chontos? I'm not too sure, but a move made there for Kian. Ricardo will be next, and Gabor should follow suit very, very shortly as we head down towards turn number 1. I think Takubi's already been overtaken by Kian. He has, and Ricardo, is he going to send it? I think he might go for it. No, had to just back out slightly as they make it through turn 2 and 3. And now Gabor Chontos looking for the inside of Ikabayana, goes through, and next for him will be Riccardo Benzoni. Now, what does Takubi do to keep Ricardo behind? Nothing.
Yeah, absolutely nothing there. Just doesn't want his teammates' progress, I don't think. And you see Gabor Chontos move on through over to Tubi, so good teamwork there between the two, not to hinder his progress. He knows he's in the fight for a podium here, and there's somebody clattering the wall there. Who locked up?
Ika, he locked up and hit the back of Takubi, and somehow, well, I think avoided hitting the back of Takubi by locking up and going straight on, but luckily does recover. But yeah, I think Williams, what a poor round this has been. I mean, I know they had quali bans, but Lund goes for the move. Oh, that's going to end in a bit of controversy because Ika's going to... Yeah, he did back out, but that nearly ended up in a battle into the castle. But no, it's been such a poor round for Williams. They're probably going to finish 19th and a DNF. That's, what, 2 points when they're in the battle for P4. FVR, meanwhile, are on for a double top 10. That means they should skyrocket past Williams.
Yeah, this is perfect for them, and with the likes of Ikabayana running with damage as well, Ruben Pedreño not even scoring, it's beautiful for FER to jump up in that 4th position. So they're going to be happy with how this season of E-Series have gone for them, to say the least. They're the highest community team in the standings so far.
Indeed, as down to turn 1 we go. Andrei Molnar looking to make a move on... Sorry, Szymon Lekomski looking to make a move on Andrei Molnar into turn 1. No move can be completed. Oh, a bit of tyre hook in there into turn 2 they go. And Lekomski does get a wheel ahead. Oh, a bit of a tap though as Parodi carries a bit too much speed in and unfortunately collects Andrei Molnar. Now down to turn 3 we go. Anybody looking for a move? No. As we do see Julian Klaffenbach just pull out of the slipstream and nearly hits the back of his teammate himself into turn number 3. That was a slightly scary moment there as Danieli does go for the move on Andrei Molnar. And it's been a bit of a poor round as well for Molnar here this evening. Not really the way he would have wanted this to go as Julian Klaffenbach gets ahead and the Alpines are, well, their pace, well, at least Andrei's pace looks like Alpine's pace in Baku last week.
He's running 11 laps on those medium compound tyre now. Has he just gone a little bit too long? The drop-off does too much, not able to do anything to defend. He's just dropping tenths now, corner after corner. So the Alpine's certainly got to be thinking about boxing at some time soon. And as well, the likes of Tadej Pressakan, it's not like he's that far up the field where he can afford to go longer. He's got a 7-second gap to the front 4, and Szymon Lekomski's just following behind. So again, it's all right for Pressakan, but for Andrei Molnar, seems to be definitely punishing.
Yep, it certainly does, and those tyres really not working well with that Alpine after being here for 11 laps. Peter Pressakan, however, he's doing a little bit of a better job on those medium tyres. However, surely he'll bail this lap. I'd expect him to at least, as he does pull to the left-hand side. That indicates he will be going into the pit lane. And just watch on the view of Tudor here as he just... Oh, no, he actually slows down, but some of them actually try and go flat out through there, which I don't know how. It's quite scary to watch as we head back down to turn 1, and all things resume as normal as Leo Lund takes the fastest lap there on the hard tyres of 1:41.3 as we make our way through. Of course, the top three provisionally is Kian Godendorp ahead of Riccardo Benzoni, Gabor Chontos in net third. And look at the gap back to Ryan Modler. 2 seconds as Leo Lund makes a move ahead of Piot. He's on a charge on those tyres.
Yeah, Leo Lund's now looking to try and score back. A good position for McLaren. McLaren need this. Being in this fight in 8th position has been mentioned a couple times by Will Gibson there. So we need to keep our eyes on Leo Lund to see if he can help McLaren fend off FRT and Venturi. And hopefully, maybe, Veloci Academy could be McLaren's next target.
Indeed, as they make their way through to turn 7. And then, of course, looking further ahead, the question is now, when do those on the hards pit? We're 13 laps in here of this race, going on to lap 14. Surely you're looking at maybe lap 16, 17 at the latest for a pit stop, because surely otherwise you're just leaving yourself with such a gap to make up in such a small amount of time. You've got to at least have some time to get some moves done. Even though you'll be on good pace, you've got to catch up and then start making those overtaking moves. As we head back down to turn 1, does Ismail Fassi go into the pits? No, he stays out on this lap. I mean, I expect them to, because they're going to have to go far on the hards, but it just does seem like on this strategy, with the little laps they've got after they pit, they're going to have nowhere near enough time to make anything and get anything done.
Oh, but I do see Kian Godendorp there is tucking into that slipstream as he's trying to make a move on Luca Rapassa, but nothing to come his way so far. Now looking for the inside line up in towards turn 2. Does get it with ease and puts the car between himself and his current rival Riccardo Benzoni. So it's beautiful for Kian Godendorp. Now does Benzoni have enough pace to chase Rapassa down now into turn 3?
He was thinking about it, wasn't he? But not quite close enough. Oh, that's damage! Nearly. Oh, no, there's not, but I thought there was. I think there was, a little bit of contact, and the game decided to throw up some particles in the air. But no damage there, but that was scary. Luca Rapassa defending heavily. I'm not sure why at this point, because he's not on the leading strategy. As Gabor Chontos now looks to make a move, and this time around he lets the car through. Very odd.
So maybe Luca Rapassa is trying to help Kian Godendorp make this go one more round rather than letting Ferrari just slip on through and take an easy championship 2 rounds before the season ends. He wants to try and make this go the distance. And then for Gabor Santos, I mean, let's show some love for the FRT driver. He's technically right now in net P3, so we've got to show the love there. He's doing very well for FRT.
He certainly is, and hopefully for himself he can take that all the way to the end, because it's been a poor season for Gabor in normal league racing. He's got the pace, he's flying in terms of quali pace and race pace, but nothing just seems to go well. It's either a speeding in the pit lane penalty, or getting damage on lap 1, or making a mistake into one of the corners, and unfortunately only 1 point managed, if I'm correct, in the F2 season. Hopefully today he can prove, actually, you know what, I might not be scoring points in F2, but I can score points here in E-Series, which, means probably on the same level, maybe a little bit more, as that's a send there from Kian Godendorp. Does get ahead of Lukomski, but that was a scary one indeed. And I think this is where we're going to see our drama now, as all these cars that haven't pitted have got all the fast cars coming through. Surely some of this might end up in a moment where some drivers might misjudge what others are trying to do.
Yeah, if you look at the board there, everybody seems to be on hard tyres, so at the moment they're all looking at the same thing when they look at that timing table in the top left corner. Just a hard tyre, not how many laps have been completed, just that they are using hard compounded tyres. So it makes you think, am I fighting for my position here?
Well, I mean, here, as you can see, Ryan Modler in P12. Luca Rapassa's defending, he's locked up into the braking zone, and this, of course, just helps Riccardo Benzoni, Kian Godendorp and Gabor Chontos, because Ryan Modler's the next in that train of those who are going to finish the race on this set of tyres. Of course, Luca, Julian, Daniele and the top 4 have to pit again in this race. Ryan Modler's gone to the outside down towards turn 15. That it might not end well as they make their way through. There's a slight bit of contact as they head into the braking zone. Can Luca Rapassa stay ahead? There's a slight bit of contact, but Ryan Modler gets the move complete. And next on the scene is Leo Lund. Goes for the send, late on the brakes to get ahead of Luca Rapassa. Luca goes off the circuit, rejoins behind Leo Lund. Next on the charge, it's Piotr Sakalek.
Yeah, Piotr now looking to try and charge on Luca Rapassa. Rapassa ever trying to defend his falling positions with 14-lap old hard tyres. So now he's just trying to damage, limit it, and hold position as Victor Widler now gets on through and sets sights on Piotr Stachulek ahead. Well, there's no move coming thus far. Is he going to go for a late send into turn one? No, he's not. He's just going to fall in the order and wait for another opportunity to come his way.
As we make our way through, let's look at the net positions here at the moment. So the net lead is Keen Godendorp, second is Riccardo Benzoni, third Gabor Chontos, fourth Leo Lund, then fifth VNT Ryan Modler. But look who's behind this train in 14th, Ulash Azildrim. Now things here could get messy because he'll be wanting to charge through as he does go onto Luca Rapassa, and Luca's got no defence. Even if he wanted to, there was nothing as Ulash Azildrim goes ahead into 13th place.
Yeah, Rapassa's just dropping position after position here. 15 laps now on those hard tyres, and with Ulas Azildrim coming out, well, they'd be cold mediums and only just been applied to the car. Still have 10 times the grip those hards have on Rapassa's Mercedes there. So for Veloci Academy, Rapassa needs to start thinking about strategy because his tyres are absolutely gone.
They certainly are. And I think Rapassa's race is kind of over. Of course, he probably tried to help as much as he could to get Tudor a little bit further up the field, but yeah, it's not gone good at all here for Luca Rapassa. As just on board here with Azildrim, he's looking to push forward and get ahead of Victor Vidlap as they head down to the final couple of corners. Of course, and Ulash will be looking to get ahead of Victor down to turn one, then he'll be looking to get through on Piotr as quickly as possible. He can't sit here and mess around behind these guys. He's got to make those moves, because if you look at the gap ahead, gap to leader, he's already 6 seconds back from Benzoni, and there is many cars in the way of him.
Yeah, this is certainly going to be interesting now. I'm keeping my eyes on Godendorp as he's got a 2-second gap at the minute from Benzoni. Benzoni has now been released and has got free air to try and catch up to what has been a bit of a fight and just try and get through the field, which has cost him 2.5 seconds to his current rivals. So Keaton Gordondorp's in a beautiful position here. And as we see Tetsubi into the pits to slap on some fresh medium compound tyres with Eka Berner as well, who's just coming down and get going with 1 lap done. Tetsubi now has a lot of work to do to even try and charge on Eka Berner, because Berner's just getting around turn 2 now.
Indeed, as we continue our way down towards turn 7, lap 17 of 26, and, well, what could this mean for FRT? But also, which is weird to say, this could be generational for McLaren to take a podium. Of course, if Leo Lund can come home with that, I mean, he qualified, 14th? He's now net 4th. Like, his race has been insane. So hopefully he can continue to work forward and get into the podium spots and, for once, not have Ferrari and Red Bull 1 and 2. It'd be nice to see an FRT or a McLaren or maybe even a VNT get up there as well, because their pace has been really, really good. As Eka Bayana gets a 3-second penalty, but I don't think that matters anyway. Himself and Takubi are long gone in this race in terms of decent points.
He's certainly getting interesting now in terms of strategy, to say the least. We still have 16 laps done for some drivers on the hard compounded tyres. They're certainly going as long as possible. They only have 8 laps to contend with now when they swap to the medium compound. We see Ishmael Fassett follow suit with Declan Barrett. Now, their grip is going to be insane for these closing 8 laps. They're going to be able to absolutely push that car to the maximum of its ability. They don't need to focus on tyre management here. They can really send it. They've gone as long as they needed to on the hards, and now it's all about getting those positions back, especially for Ishmael Fassett.
Yeah, of course, as Leo Lund makes a move ahead of Gabor Chontos, and Ulash Azildrim gets ahead of Ryan Modler. So the battle for the podium is on between Leo Lund, Gabor Chontos and Ulash Azildrim for the time being. But of course, give it a few laps and Keaton Lutt, Ishmael Fassett and Declan Barrett will probably get involved themselves. Down to turn 7 we go, and of course the top 3 don't have to pit at all in this race. The only car left to pit will be Julian Klaffenbach. So if you're Keane Godendorp or Riccardo Benzoni, at this point you might as well chill, because everybody on the mediums isn't going to catch up that quickly. I mean, they might catch up, but then they've got to make the moves. So I think Keane's got this one in the bag here.
Yeah, he's just clear. 3.3 seconds clear from his Ferrari rival behind. And as it stands with the current positions, unless Ismail Fassi starts charging through that order, it is going to go to the next round for the Ferrari team. Just on the difference in points, though, with Ulash Yildirim scoring some good points over Ismail Fassi. I think this will go to the next round. I'll confirm this later on as the laps unfold.
Yeah, but as Keaton looked there, made a move ahead of Piot, and that was a really scary one for a minute as we could go 3 wide down towards turn 1. Oh my goodness, it's nearly 4 wide. Down to turn 1, Ismail Fassi gets squeezed into the wall. Down to turn 1 we go. That's going to be 1 move, 2 move, possibly 3 moves made for Ismail Fassi. Daniel Ricciardo, welcome back. 4 positions made down to turn 1 for Ismail Fassi. I'm sorry there for cutting you off, Corey, but we had to talk about what was going on down to turn 1 as now Keaton Lutt is on the scene.
Yeah, Keaton Lutt ever trying to stay with Ismail Fassi because they're on the same strategy, same tyre. Does manage to pull on through. He's got his teammate Declan Barrett there as well, looking to try and move ahead of him. He's got the fresher tyres out of the FVR drivers, but now they can work together to try and close up to Ismail Fassi. Now, this could be good for FVR if they can stay on the back of that Ferrari.
Indeed, and look at that gap, 1.8 seconds to Ryan Modler. That gap should be easily below a second by the time they get to the DRS zone for turn 1. As Ulash Yildirim is up the inside of Leo Lund. This could get close to contact. Lund is not going to want to let this one go, but he has to. Into 4th goes Ulash Yildirim. Gabor Chontos is back up into 3rd. So what happened to Leo Lund? Because he's obviously made a mistake because he was ahead of Gabor Chontos, who is now back into 3rd place for FRT. We continue on. 7 laps to go in this race, going on to 6 to go. And the top 3, it's Red Bull, Ferrari, FRT, but Ulash Yildirim will certainly be wanting to make it a Red Bull 1-3, possibly a Red Bull 1-2, depending on that pace in that Red Bull.
He's got the tyres to do something about it, and now is the time to do it. He has the DRS to Gabor Chontos ahead. Chontos crucially trying to defend what will be a podium finish for FRT, but can he do so as Ulash Yildirim has only got 4 lap old medium tyres? The pace difference is going to be dramatic over Gabor Chontos' 10 lap hard compounded tyre, So now we see a fight for the back, and there goes Leo Lund to the inside of Ryan Modler, almost forcing him into the outside barrier, and Joe's managed to move on through, trying to stick with Ismail Fassi and just gain back positions that he lost just a lap ago. And that could have been disaster for Declan Barrett, but here comes Keaton Lutt trying to close back up and gets past Ryan Modler as well.
As Ulash Yildirim goes into 3rd place. It's a 1-3 for Red Bull as we make our way through into turn number 5, as that was a brilliant move there by Yildirim. Gabor's going to fight back in towards turn 5. He can't. Ismail Fassi goes to the outside, has the inside at turn number 6. Can he slide ahead? Yes, he can. Into 4th place goes Ismail Fassi. What a move there by the Ferrari driver. And that is what? 6th position? No, it's more than that. He was down in P11 on lap 18. So that is not like what? 7-8 positions made in 2 laps. Insane work by the Ferrari.
And I'm going to be honest, Ismail Fassi has just pulled out an absolute masterclass, absolute send from the heavens, and has just given Ferrari this championship as it stands. This could be it.
It could be, and Declan Barrett there was, I think, eyeing up a move on Leo Lund into turn 15, but was a little bit too far back. So we go again. Declan Barrett now will be looking to be on the charge of Leo Lund. Keaton Lutt following him behind. And then, of course, Ismail Fassi will be wanting to get ahead of Ulash Yildirim, and that looks like an easy move for the Ferrari driver. Down towards turn 1 we go. Can Ulash fight it back? He needs to fight it here against the Ferrari. It's a Ferrari 2-3, a Red Bull 1-4 now as it stands. And there we go, moves being made as all further back. Declan Barrett looks to go up the inside of Leo Lund. There's a slight bit of contact, but Declan gets the move done. Leo slots in behind P7. For the McLaren driver, and then Keaton Lutt will be wanting to have his turn to get ahead of the McLaren. Down towards turn 3, he's going to look for the inside line surely on Leo Lund, but he can't. He's a little bit too far back.
Okay, some details. As it stands, it's still going to go to the final round by the finest of margins.
Red Bull are going
to outscore, as it stands, Ferrari by 4 points in this race, so that will open the gap to 12 points.
Oh, what a gap.
Sorry, that will close the gap up. That will close the gap up, to 4 points between Red Bull and Ferrari in terms of how much they need to outscore them by next round.
I mean, that's just insane, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ferrari that far ahead, it's like, oh, the gap's going to be 4 points they need. Like, what? I mean, they're, 120 points ahead? It's insane what Ferrari have done this season. And, of course, there's still 2 rounds to go. If they bottle this now, that might have been the biggest bottle I've ever seen in my life. And I've been here for 20 years, so it would be a big bottle indeed. But I can't see that happening whatsoever here. Ferrari just been insane all season long. And we go again, heading on to lap 22 of 26. And Kian Gerdendorp just continues to stretch that gap out further. Now it's 4.7 seconds between himself and Riccardo Benzoni. Ulas Yildirim, is he going to have a charge on the back here of Ismail Fassi? Down to turn 1, he's pushing, but I don't think it's enough this time around. I don't think it'll be enough at all, as we do see Declan Barrett up into the top 5 ahead of Gabor Chontos, as Ryan Modler gets ahead of Leo Lund. P8 for the VNT driver. That will be their best finish this season. Their previous best is P10.
Oof. I'm still trying to keep my eyes on this fight ahead, but it looks like Ismail Fassi with that 1.9 second gap there to Riccardo Benzoni. It doesn't seem to be coming down as quick as he'd like to. So even if it was to go this way, we are going to see it go to round 11 for the championship. But everybody else now is just trying to score some much needed points and positions, because he's getting to that point.
Retirement!
They're not going to have Andre Mona! He's gone! He's off!
Is that a safety car? It is! Safety car! Sorry, I've seen that on TikTok, so I had to do it. But there we go, safety car on up 22 and 26. Andre Molnar out of the race for Alpine.
Oh, safety car. That's something I used to say.
Is that the first safety car this season?
I think that is the first full. Is it the first full course?
It might be.
I know we've had VSCs, but that could be the first full course safety car.
I think it actually might be, you know. If it isn't, it's like the first of like 2 or 3. But there we have it. I mean, I thought lap 22 was too late. I thought 4 laps you couldn't. So is it 3 laps where the limit cut off?
It's 3.
Ooh,
Yeah, it's 3.
So
we're going to get 2 laps of racing, so
it
has to go in and give us 2 laps of racing. So it's literally going to come out now. We're going to hit the line. We're going to do next lap, and it's going to go in on lap 25, I think. At the end of lap 24, so we're going to have lap 25 and 26 of racing.
Well, that means nobody will pit them, will they? Unless they choose to. I mean, Kian, he's probably going to get overtaken by Ishmael and Ulash, I think. Is he pitting? He is. Kian's in. Riccardo probably will come in as well, I presume, for Ferrari. He certainly is. Ishmael stays out. Ulash stays out. Declan Barrett is going in. Soft tyres are being applied. Gabor Chontos joins as well. I think, Corey, we might have jinxed ourselves for the good this time. Me and you were sitting here before the stream saying, oh, this is going to be so boring. We can't wait to get off and go to bed. But we have a battle, and we have soft tyres involved. The top 3 versus absolutely everybody else.
Word. Now, this could have been the better call, because as we know, the pack is going to bunch back up. That gap that has been formed from the pit stop is not going to mean anything. And with only 2 laps of racing, there is nothing stopping Kian Gordendorp from absolutely shredding these softs to make positions. And he's only got 3 cars to get through. Ulas Yildirim is going to make it easy on Kian Gordendorp. He's going to have to work with his teammate to help Kian get through. So Keedan Lutt is a sitting duck there, but Ismail Fassi may have to contend against 2 Red Bulls. That's not saying that Riccardo Benzoni on the restart can get Kian Gordendorp.
Indeed, as we get ready for what could be a really exciting ending to round 10 of the championship. Of course, we've been at Baku twice before. Ferrari have never won here. They've never even been on the podium. And that was in 2 seasons. They took part in the championship. It was Williams who won back in season 3 with that man on top right now, Ismail Fassi. And of course, in season 5, it was Julian Klaffenbach in R8G. If he manages to do that today from 15th, I will transfer him £1 million in his bank, and I haven't got £1 million. So, yeah, I mean, that would be insane, but there's no point even thinking about that. But Kian Gordendorp, what a chance he could possibly have. But think about the work that Ismail Fassi will be doing to try and stop any moves from Red Bull, and think about what Riccardo Benzoni will be trying to do. And then also Keedan Lutt, because he wants to help Declan Barrett. So we have Ferrari, Red Bull, V-Carb, all on the mediums. Then behind immediately, Red Bull, Ferrari, V-Carb, all on the softs. So lots of team games.
The numbers have been crunched.
Yep.
And what needs to happen? Ferrari need a 1 and a 3 at minimum to guarantee this title. If Red Bull get a 2 and a 3 with a 1 and a 4 to Ferrari, then it goes the next round. If anything else happens where Ferrari don't get a 1 and 3, or they say they get a 3 and 4, then it goes to the next round, providing Red Bull get a 1-2. So this is literally Riccardo Benzoni. Ismail Fassi needs to defend P1. Riccardo Benzoni needs to get P3.
So as long as Riccardo Benzoni gets into the top 3 and Ismail Fassi wins, that's it, done deal. If it's 1-4 Ferrari and 2-5 for Red Bull, is that still going to the next round?
Let me look at 2-5. 2 and 5 points would be 48. And what were you saying? So if they get a 1 and 3 and a 2 and 5...
1 and 4, 2 and 5.
That's it. 1 and 4, 2 and 5. Yeah, it's done.
Oh, right. Well, I say that here we go. We're still in the end of sector 1. We've still got 2 sectors to go. But, right, Corey, the worst question I could ask you in the world, and I'm going to ask it. Top 3 predictions. Let's go.
Wild card. Kian Gordon-Dorp, Riccardo Benzoni, Keaton Lott.
Oh, that's a right bold prediction. Guys, let us know in the chat. I'm not going to go mean and say top 3, but let us know who you think will win. I'm going outside. I'm going to go, you know what? Gabor Chontos from 7th. There's going to be Pole up at turn 1. FRT, VNT and McLaren go through. Gabor, Ryan, Leo, 1, 2, 3. Boom. There we have it. I mean, that's going to be like 700 to 1 on the bookies, but, you know, why not? Most obvious mod, the win. I mean, imagine what that would be if VNT took the win there, Corey. But, you know what, Corey? Have the start. Go for it. Take us away.
Well, here we go. There's the call. The safety car will be in at the end of lap 24. As predicted, we'll have 25 and 26. And there the pack slows right down. Ismail Fassi starts to weave, generating that little bit of tyre temperature he's got left before he goes all guns blazing down to that checkered flag and gets us going with racing. The safety car is almost to the pit lane following this mighty long straight here in the Baku circuit. So it's all eyes on the Scarlet Red Ferrari to get us going away. Still weaving, still waiting for the best opportunity.
I mean, Ishmael's going to go late, isn't he? Surely, as late as he can, because he doesn't want to give Red Bull the chance to have a run down to turn 1.
He's going to have to pull something out. He's going to have to really catch Red Bull off guard here, because look at that. Ulash and Kian are lurking, ready like predators, waiting to strike. Just like a tiger waiting to pounce. Here we go. The bulls are set loose, and Ismail Fassi has managed to breach a 6/10 gap on the start. Has got away beautifully just when he needed to. But here goes Riccardo Benzoni looking to try and defend against Declan Barrett. Declan Barrett's looking to the inside line but can't seem to make a move. Riccardo Benzoni's forced to the outside and moves ahead on Kian Gordon-Dorp. That's beautiful. Gordon-Dorp's trying to defend it. Slight contact with a wall for Benzoni, but Benzoni is managing to keep that position. He's now all over the rear tail of Keaton Lott, and he's looking to try and make a move to the outside now. Slight contact between the two, and no squeezing towards the wall there. Benzoni makes another move, and here comes Kian Gordon-Dorp trying to follow suit. The wide goes Declan Barrett almost into the wall. Keaton Lott now dropping positions ever more to Gabor Santos. But looking as it stands, it's a 1-3, just like Ferrari need, and this could see them take that championship.
It certainly could. So as we go back to the front of the field, Ismail Fassi leads, Ulash Yildirim leads, Riccardo Benzoni, Keaton Lott has fell all the way down the field, I think. He got into a little bit of contact with Leo London. That puts VNT into the top 7. Next on the list for Benzoni is Ulash Yildirim, and then I presume, because of DRS, if Riccardo can get ahead before the DRS point, then Ismail can slow down and give some DRS, but I don't think he'll do it in time. But of course, Ulash will try and hold up Riccardo to allow Kian Gordon-Dorp through as we head on to the final lap, and Lekomski's round.
Lekomski, not good there, but we'll keep our eyes on to Riccardo Benzoni right now, as this is where it could be the 1-2 move that could guarantee Ferrari's championship if they can lock this out. Down onto that main straight, tucked into the slipstream. Riccardo Benzoni closing in to that rear diffuser, looks to the outside line, and it looks like it's going to be an easy move without the DRS as they go side by side into turn 1 later on the brakes. The Red Bull goes defensive, tries to squeeze the Ferrari with slight contact, which is allowed. Kieran Gordon-Dorp to try and make it 3 wide. He's under attack from Declan Barrett. Declan Barrett to the inside as well. It's a 4-car battle here. And in Dos Santos, as predicted by Nathan yourself, he's moved up a couple places. He's moving up on... And he's looking to try and strike against Riccardo Benzoni. And it's 3 wide into turn 3. And who's going to come out on top of this one? It's Declan Barrett.
It's 3 wide and a few cars nearly getting involved with each other. You cut out again there, Corey, as we go back to racing. And what a battle this could be for the podium. I can't quite believe what I'm seeing here on F125. Declan Barrett into 3rd for FVR. Gabor Chontos could have a chance to get up into the top of himself as Azildrim is dropping down the field along with Kieran Gordon-Dorp. That tells me it's completed for Ferraris. They all slide through the castle and they're all holding each other up. And Piotr Stakler gets damage. He hits the back of Kieran Gordon-Dorp and Tudor Pressakan charges through to 8th place. Where has he came from? In the Mercedes. What a battle this is. They're all hitting the barriers. I can't believe what I'm seeing here on the final lap of this race. Julie goes through. They're all clattering through. I'm trying to not laugh here because I can't believe the scenes here on the final lap. But Ferrari somehow come away unscathed. It will be a 1-2 for the Scuderia. Ismail Fassi will lead Riccardo Benzoni, and not just for a race win, but for their 4th championship here in PSGL E-Series. It's Fasci and Benzoni that win it for Ferrari, and Declan Barrett takes 3rd. And what's happening behind? Oh my goodness! Mods, yeah. I couldn't hold myself there, guys. Oh my god! Mod is out of the race. What?
That's cartwheeling. He was cartwheeling down the main straight. Modler's Haas was sent flying into the air. What have we just seen on that finishing straight?
I mean, I try to keep professional as much as possible, but oh dear me. What the absolute hell? Down to the straight. Ryan Modler thought, you know what? Let's go cartwheeling in the Haas. I mean, I'm going to need a minute and a bit to have a look back at that and see what initiated the contact. But, I mean, at this point, we might even see Luca Rapace with a podium because he'll end up getting ahead because of all the penalties. But dear me, there we go. I mean, in all of that, we did see Ferrari take the championship.
What I can say at the end, though, was absolute certainly Ulash Azildrim was involved in that incident that sent Modler up into the air. That was crazy. I mean,
let's be honest. Let's be honest, Corey. When is the last time that both commentators actually can't compose themselves in terms of laughter? I don't think that has ever happened to me. But even when they was hit, the best part was when they was going through turn 14, every single one of them smashed into the barrier just to get a good run down towards turn 15. Every single one of them.
That was crazy. That was crazy. That was incredible.
But there we go. I mean, listen, I know what, I feel bad for those that got caught up in it, but we need a little bit of a positive, no, that's the wrong word. A bit of entertainment here because it's been a poor game, but they've proven today you can actually drive. But no, I think there'll seriously be lots of penalties handed out there because the fact that cars are being took out on a straight makes me question what the hell happened. But there we go. I'm going to move over to the interview screen and hopefully get a chat with our top 3 because I'm sure there's lots of words, especially for Benzoni and Declan Barrett. We'll see if we can get them in.
They were going 3 wide. I saw that. They was going 3 wide, drag racing down to the finishing straight, and one squeeze too many has caused a massive pile-up and massive collision in the end. And I think 2 cars ended up DNFing from that, as well as Modler. I don't know if... I think I saw the Red Bull. Did he finish or not? I'm not sure, but that was disaster there.
No, Ulash finished P6, I think Ulash did in the end.
All right.
Whether that stays like that, I'm sure we'll find out. But I mean, I'm ready to see the general chat in a bit. I mean, I always love reading through the gossip. It's going to be heavy today.
I like it when they start posting clips. That's what gets me.
Oh, yeah, and they start arguing. I love it. I really do. I shouldn't, but listen, we're the neutral ground, Corey. We're not on anybody's side, so we can sit there and just look at what's going on and laugh. We're not on anybody's side here, but no message from Riccardo Benzoni. He's gone straight for dinner. He's like, right, we've finished the race done, food. Will Gibson. Then we have Declan Barrett, who says no for an interview, unfortunately, but then we'll hope we can see Ismail Fassi. I also invited Jona Martins to come along, because he is the representative for Ferrari. But I mean, you know what, Corey? That was the best race I think we've had all season, and that is the best race by a mile.
Yeah, I agree. That was certainly ending on a high note compared to what we've seen over the past 10 rounds. Drivers have been very, very conservative, holding back a lot of what you can see was pent-up racing anger. And it's all just been unleashed there in the final 2 laps, I've got to say. They were letting it slam into the wall, as you mentioned, out of turn 14, so that was lovely.
I mean, I just saw the picture of when Piotr Saklek went for the moving castle, and they was 3 wide on the exit.
Oh, have we got stuff in general already?
We have. Oh, dear me.
Yes. Oh, no. No.
I mean, the penalties are... I mean, Krypton's going to be loving this. He's got a right evening ahead of him. But, unfortunately, I don't think there's going to be any interviews tonight, which is a big shame. But there we have it. We'll drag back over to the camera screen quickly. But, yes... There we go. I mean, my TikTok, this is perfect now. Straight on to... Oh, no, we got Jona. We'll drag him in. Jona, welcome in. Thank you for actually deciding to join us. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can.
Perfect. So,
I'll be here in a second as well.
I mean, thoughts on that race from your perspective? Because I presume you had all the POVs. What did you quite witness on those last couple of laps? Because we couldn't quite believe it here.
No, I'm still recovering a little bit from what just happened, to be honest. I mean, we were luckily towards the front end of the chaos, and with Ricardo, we got luckily past Kian quickly enough, so we had a bit of space to work with. But no, then everything behind Ricardo unfolded on the final lap, so I'm happy we were able to stay out of that. But yeah, no, that was a beautiful ending to that race.
Indeed, and of course you've been with the team all season long in the engineering, Alpine, manage everything out. What has been the key for Ferrari this season to obviously, I know that this is their 4th title, but they've scored more points than they have done in any season. This is like nearly 500 points. The closest to that was 431 back in season 3. What has Ferrari done this season to just be above everybody else by a mile?
I think in general, it's just mainly the drivers. They're all working hard behind the scenes for a lot of different races, because this is not the only race we do this week. We have a lot of races, but they're working really hard. We've won 6 out of the last 7 races, so I think that's probably the main reason why we're so far ahead at the moment. But yeah, no, everything has just clicked well. We've been working together really well in the last few races. We finished with multiple cars on the podiums in the last few races a few times as well, or helped each other out, like in Monza, where we have John backing up the field.
Yeah.
For Ricardo to get through from like P16 to P8, which in Monza realistically is not really possible. Yeah, it's just really good teamwork all around. The strategies have worked out well, and in general, the drivers have to put in the work.
Indeed, and of course, heading into F1 sim racing, whenever, if ever it happens, surely at this point now, Ferrari have got a big headache, because there's so many drivers that could probably jump into those, the 3 seats and the 2 main ones. Is that going to be a difficult decision to pick who's going to go through into the season?
I think the decision is already made. I don't think we have much change from what probably people think that we have. Few people still too young, and people are still learning. So we have the whole team supporting each other. But we have Isma and Barry as the 2 main drivers into the season. But yeah, no, we have the whole team is supporting each other really well, especially throughout the whole season, because we've used quite a lot of drivers here. Also in other series where it's I don't know the word. We're using a lot of different drivers in different series to get everyone the opportunity to race and show themselves, and in that way, everyone can also be as prepared as possible for themselves. So I'm really happy with the way that it's working out now. Obviously, we still have to translate it into F1 esports, and at the moment, it's Red Bull is looking really strong as well in PSGL F1, for example. But we have some work to do, but I'm sure that we can get our stuff sorted for F1 esports and be as strong as ever.
Yeah, indeed. Jona, thanks for joining us for a chat. Great to have you here in the commentary box, and hopefully we'll see you next season if E-Series ever comes back. But have a good one, mate. Thanks for popping in, and enjoy your evening.
Yes, bye-bye.
And Corey, why don't you have a quick chat with Ismail Fassi? Unfortunately, we kept him waiting quite a while.
Hello, thank you for joining us. And again, beautiful race ran by an ever-dominant Ferrari, like Jona mentions there, having 6 of the last 7 race victories, and today, when that safety car came out, something I wanted to ask you, you chose to stay out and go a little bit longer, and it proved to be that denominating factor. Did you ever think in that moment that it may have been a mistake, seeing everybody box for the softs?
To be fair, my tires were not that bad, so it was kind of made sense for me to stay out and Ricardo to pit. Obviously, you don't know if you're gonna maintain the people behind you. It just depends on the people on softs if if it takes them too long to overtake the people in front of not. And yeah, we managed the restart perfectly. Tried to help Ricardo as much as I could on the restart, and he overtook Kian, so it made our life way easier. So yeah, happy to win, I guess.
Yeah, beautiful as well. And to be the driver that was here when you raised the championship trophy and to take the championship, delivering a stellar drive and taking the victory. So it's a huge congratulations at hand, and of course working well with your teammate to secure the 1-2 when things seemed lost, looking like it may have gone to the next round in round 11. You managed to pull it out when it was needed most, and now the next 2 rounds are just more about having fun.
Yeah, definitely. I really don't know what to say. I'm happy that we won. My first community league, championship that I win with Ferrari. Hopefully, we can win F1 sim racing, and that will be a lot better.
This is the last one from me. Will we see you next week? It's the final.
Good question. Very good question. I don't know. Right now, I don't know.
Surely your answer is no, because who wants to drive this game?
We will see. We will see. I will keep you updated.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for joining us, and nice speaking to you. Congratulations on the championship and, of course, the race victory.
Thank you.
Right, there we go. Chat with Ishmael. Chat with Yona Martins, of course. One of the in the F1 sim racing scene, is the engineer for Ferrari, but in E-Series he was part of just helping organise the Ferrari team for the event. But there we have it. What a race that was. By far, race of the season for me, because I love carnage, I love chaos, I love cars DNFing, but in a fun fashion. It's quite interesting to watch. Seeing a Haas fly over the line and not make it to the line, interesting, but there we have it. But yeah, that's going to take a while to digest. I think if that was like on F1 24, we'd be like, oh, a normal race, but considering we've had such a poor opening 9 rounds, I think by like 2 races, that was just another level, wasn't it, towards the end? I mean, the first part was boring, but at least they rewarded us at the end.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. It seemed to bring some entertainment there towards the final lap, if not the final 2 laps, to say the least. Safety car came out, fresh rubber, and everybody just absolutely sent it when they saw that Ferrari are going to win this, so why not get out there guns blazing? But that was nice. That was a beautiful way to end off the championship, but the season certainly isn't over yet.
No, it certainly isn't, and you brought me straight onto the calendar there. Great transition over, Corey. Next week, it's Texas, it's COTA. We're not going to see what we just saw, but we might see a little bit of action. And then, of course, final round, Saudi Arabia, Jeddah. That could be a repeat of Baku. It's Jeddah. You know, such an interesting, thin snake. I like to call it like a long snake, basically. That's what it is. Very thin snake all the way around, and it ends up back on itself. That should be a really good race, I'm hoping. Qualifying around Jeddah is superb. Texas might be a little bit more dull, but I'm sure we're going to have some brilliant battling anyway. Well, there we have it. That is all from me and Corey. Of course, a big congratulations to Ferrari, Yona Martins, Ishmael Fassi, Riccardo Benzoni, Elena Pipinta, Barry Burmond. I'm forgetting a couple. Angelo D'Ortenzio and Riccardo Benzoni. I think that's all. I hope. Dylan Warren as well. Forgot Dylan Warren. Yes, big congratulations to all of you. Great job this season. And then, of course, a big thanks to everybody in the chat once again for tuning in for this round of E-Series. We're back next week for Texas around COTA, so make sure to join back with us. Same time next week, October the 3rd. Have a good evening. Have a good week. Good night.